Welcome back to Mr. Bet on You, DoorDash Driver Live, any app that you work. Appreciate you guys for being here. Happy Sunday. Hope you're all doing well. If you're working, I hope you're making money. I hope you're being safe. If you're not working, I hope you're doing something that's fun. I have a jam-packed show for you guys tonight. If I can start by giving a thumbs up in the chat so you guys can hear and see me. I believe we have some background music playing as well. Can you guys hear that as well? I'm going to turn it off in a minute. But I hope you guys are all doing well. Let me go ahead and get into the comments here. We'll get into the show topics. Scooter Bud says, yes. Did you guys hear the music as well? It's hard for me to tell sometimes when I try new things out. I feel like you guys did. Okay, cool. Love it. Pedro, say hi to me, please. User01. There you go. Hi. How are you? What up, everybody in the chat? Happy Sunday. So, what a week. Let's just take a moment to reflect back on the week that was, whatever that means for you, and just remember this one thing. Obviously, it's Sunday. Most of you guys are probably done working for the week. I'm sure there are some of you still out. Maybe it's dinner time if you're on the West Coast, or 7 o'clock. Maybe it's later on the East Coast. It's 10 o'clock, so you're probably done. But some of you guys are out there still working. But let's take a minute to reflect back on the week you had. Just think about it. You can put it in the chat if you want. Think about, was it a good week? Was it a positive week? Did you hit your goals? Did you become frustrated at times? Was it really an easy week, almost a perfect week, as some might call it? Like everything just went well. You hit your money goals. You maybe made more than your goals. Maybe you had some crazy good tips. We're going to talk about tips today. Take a minute to reflect on what you accomplished in the gig world using the gig apps, or maybe your W-2, or maybe your school, or your whatever you got going on, your passions, your projects, your side hustles, your businesses, your relationships, whatever you got going on. Take a minute to appreciate either what you did good and then recognize it, or take a moment to recognize, man, I could have done better this week, right? And then take that energy, whichever, whether you had a successful week or not a good week, take that into tomorrow. Learn from it, adapt, move forward. Don't look back. Don't cry. Don't whine. Learn from it. Take a minute just to remember that, reflect on that. Just do that for me if you can. That's how we're going to start today's show. Now, topics this evening. I have an article I'm going to pull up here. I'm going to read a couple things to you guys. I'm going to share with you where I got this, why we're talking about it today. And I want you guys to either in the live chat, and when I will have the StreamYard link open, to share with me your opinion on what we're going to talk about today. So this is the article here. People are ticked that delivery drivers complain about stingy tips, blah, 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 in a viral New York Times article. Here are the 5 reasons people are basically saying that they don't want to tip, and they're done with tipping, and they're done. Now, I will go into those 5. This is an article that was shown to me by Hannibal is Hungry. We did a little podcast called the Pedro and Hannibal Podcast. And we had it back, and he asked me what I thought about these. He gave his opinions. I'm going to give you guys my opinion on what is shifting here, why, how it may affect us. And I'm going to throw a couple hypotheticals out to you guys, right? And I'm going to use real life results. And I'm going to use Australia, because we had our boy Chris on last week. Okay. And I'm going to use his country and how DoorDash works as an example. And that's going to be the topic for this evening. Okay. I'll also sprinkle in a little bit of large order program stuff for some of you that might have seen the video and been watching this channel for a while. I've been trying to get on LOP. I can't. I'm going to give you a very strong opinion on a large order program. Some of you guys will not like it. I'm going to upset some of you dashers out there. Obviously, I am the guy that is always okay with that. So we're going to talk about that as well today for a moment. StreamYard link will be open. Appreciate everybody for being in here already. Hit that thumbs up. Let's get this show popping. Now, before we get into that, my week this week was pretty solid. Wasn't a great earnings week. I didn't work a whole lot either. I had a lot of other things going on. So I felt like for me, because I share my week with you guys, it was a pretty balanced week, pretty decent overall. Was able to get a lot of things done, whether it's from YouTube to actually working the apps. Had the apps on for 5 days, but really only worked 3.5. And, had a good date night last night, had good family time today. Very well balanced week for me. So when I asked, let's reflect on our week, me looking back and self-reflecting on my week, I feel really good about this week. I felt like it was a good week for me of getting things done, but also giving myself time and the people around me time. So I feel really good about that. And I look to build on that and have an even better week next week. So let's give a couple shout outs to the chat. And then we're going to read this article. I'm going to give you some opinions, and I want you guys to I want to hear your opinions. And I really want to open a StreamYard link up. I want some people to come on that after you hear my opinion on some of these things, and after I share some thoughts on tipping in America, because I think I'm going to surprise some of you guys, I want the people that disagree with me to join the StreamYard. Let me be real honest and transparent with you guys. I do not want people coming on the StreamYard that have the same thoughts as me. I want people that are like, dude, what did you just say? Like, I think those are the people I'm looking for tonight. I want to have a good, respectful back and forth about tipping in America. I think I'm going to surprise some of you guys. I think this article is going to trigger some of you guys. It did trigger me a few ways. So that's what I'm looking for tonight. So if you've never been a part of the show and you're somebody that wants to be a part, this could be your show tonight. What up, Collins? What up, Chris? Dasher Benj, Gig Wise. I hate DoorDash, so I probably won't have the same thought. I know, Alex. Not Alex. I know, Tim. I know you hate Gig Wise. And Belk. What up, Leonard? Juice Goes, Daphne, Hockey PNC, Jeff, Levi. What's up? What's up? All right. So the Master Dasher. What a name. Daphne, Juice, Michelle. Okay. So Leo, what up? What up? SG61. So Blondie, Aussie, Pedro, glad to make this live. Love them. Appreciate that. This is the place to be on Sunday night. That is for sure. We've built this thing up. I think we've been having these lives consistently every week for, year and a half, maybe a little bit, about a year and a half, I'd say. So appreciate everybody that's showing up and love the support. So the juice is loose. Okay. Let me bring up this article. But before I get into that, I am one of the people that has really coined the phrase and has been, I'm one of the cheerleaders of no tip, no trip. I would venture to say, if you look up no tip, no trip online, if you do a Google search, you're probably going to see my name and a few other people. I have a lot of videos about it. I've called customers miserable human beings. I've called them clowns. I've done that as recently as in the last couple of weeks. I stand by every word that I've ever said. I have no regrets. I wouldn't take anything back that I've done on YouTube. And any video I've made, I stand by 1,000% because it led me to where I'm at today. With that being said, tipping culture, and I've outlined various reasons why I believe we should not deliver to people that don't tip, that leave an upfront tip. Some people say they're tipping cash. We'll get into that at some point. I stand by it. But tipping culture in America has gotten out of hand overall. And what we have to remember as DoorDash drivers is we're in a bubble. Like, we're delivering food, we're driving and delivering food or packages, right? So we think that tipping, we sometimes forget tipping is also just in a lot of other places. Well, at least it has started to become that. It's getting out of control. And I think consumers are just tired of getting hit over the head with it. They're tired of seeing content creators, whether on TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, complaining and crying in their car and making it seem as though it's the consumer's responsibility to pay us. That's the biggest thing. We'll get into that. Well, why are you mad at me? Be mad at your employer. They say that. Be mad at your boss. Well, they're not our employer. They're not our boss. We're independent, but that's a whole nother thing, right? But tipping culture has gotten out of hand. Think about a lot of places you go now, a year, 2, 3, whatever years ago, maybe just a few months or weeks ago or days. You went to go get that coffee or that sandwich and you were never asked about a tip, never prompted to get a tip. Now, with all these computers being advanced and you have the square and you have this, you put your thing in, they flip it around and answer some questions. I was at Shake Shack picking up an order. And Shake Shack's a really popular place. They're on DoorDash. I go there pretty much every day to pick up an order. They're very popular. People love their shakes and the burgers and the cheese fries and all the stuff, right? Service is usually pretty good, all right? Think about this for a second. And I'm playing devil's advocate. You walk into Jack in the Box. And you want a combo meal. And the interaction you have with that Jack in the Box employee is exactly the same in most cases. And the type of work is exactly the same as if the Shake Shack person doing it, right? Shake Shack person, the girl, the man, whatever, and she asking you what you want. They ring it in. Boom, boom. Jack in the Box. What do you like? Boom, boom, boom. Ring it in. Payment. Boom, boom. At Jack in the Box, you're probably handing them cash or handing them a debit card. They swipe it and hand it back. At Shake Shack, I think they do the same. And sometimes even you have to just insert it and they turn the little pad around and say, just answer some questions. Or some of them even say, oh, it's going to ask you if you want to leave a tip or not. And there's this moment of awkwardness with some consumers. Well, I was at Jack in the Box yesterday and had the same exact experience. I'm ordering the same exact damn thing. They didn't ask me to tip. Now I'm at Shake Shack. They're asking me to tip. And now do I feel guilted into putting in a tip? If I hit no tip, do I feel bad? Are they going to spit in my food? Are they going to frown at me? Are they going to look at me differently? If I leave a tip, should I leave a tip? Who's getting a tip? Is the girl giving me the tip that's giving me the service? Is it a tip pool? Is it shared? I haven't even listened to this. And this is what they tell us, right, DoorDash drivers? I haven't even gotten my food yet or nothing. And I'm tipping. What am I tipping for? Who's the money going to? Now, I think some of you can have had that experience. When I go out, if I see that, if my service is good, if I feel, I usually leave a tip. I just do. I get it. Okay. I get that the companies aren't paying these employees enough sometimes. But I have no idea how much the Shake Shack person's making. No idea. They might be making more than me. No clue. Right? That's what a consumer's thinking. And I'm already paying $30 for a shake of fries and a burger at Shake Shack with tax and a tip. That's $30. Think about that. I'm sure some of you guys can relate. Now, I'm not saying tipping needs to go away, but tonight I'm going to play devil's advocate and share with you why I think many of us are saying tips are down, Pedro. I'm not seeing good tips. Hard to make money, blah, blah, blah. Consumers are fighting back against the tipping culture in this country. With more and more millennials and all these people that, you could call them whatever you want. Millennials, woke people, all these trigger words I think are stupid, right? Gen Z, Gen X, whatever generation, right? They are against a lot of these big corporations. So when they order from a DoorDash, they're already seeing the fees or seeing this or seeing that. And they're like, damn, I haven't gotten my food yet. Or I've had a bad experience last week. I got a tip, blah, blah, blah. So while I think a majority of people that don't tip are clowns and miserable and uneducated and ignorant, I stand by that. I don't think it's all. I think some are just tired of tipping culture in America. They're tired of it. I think everywhere you go now, there's a tip jar. There's this, there's that. And I think people are getting tired of it. And that is starting to boil over into the food delivery game. Now, do I think we deserve more of a tip than a Shake Shack front person? Fuck yeah, I do. I'm not going to lie. Yes. They have protections. They're getting some kind of benefit probably. They're getting an hourly wage. They're getting a lot of things. They're inside. They're not driving an automobile. They're having all their taxes and all the deductions taken care of them on their W-2 paycheck. We have none of those things. So we are actually doing more of a service most of the time, especially the ones that you guys are watching. We're providing more of a service because we're going to places and waiting and ordering and inclement weather and going upstairs and doing this and doing that and dropping people. Yes, we do deserve a tip. But most consumers they don't think of us like that. We're not a human person to them. We are an app. We are DoorDash. We are a line on a subtotal screen. Subtotal, fee, taxes, tip. There's no humanization behind that. And a lot of the customers we don't even see. Think about how many deliveries you did this week. How many of those customers, what percentage of those people did you see face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball? I bet it's less than 10% of your orders that you saw face-to-face or around that. On average, I bet if we, all put our numbers in, I bet it's less than 10%. Tipping culture in America is getting crazy and it's affecting us, the ones that deserve the tip, because somebody at Shake Shack, somebody at Subway is asking for tips. The person at your dispensary is asking for tips. It's too many places. And is that a corporate problem? Could be. Is it employees asking, hey, can we ask for tips? Can we put some software in our thing? We can make more money? Because they are making more money by doing that. Let's pull up this article. Let me read the chat before I get into that. I'll pull it up and then I'm going to read the chat in a second here. So let me see if I can get a little bit bigger for you guys. Maybe I can. Okay, that's a little bit bigger. And I'm going to read and give you guys the 5 reasons people are just like, I'm not tipping. This is stupid. But generally speaking, I know which areas are better tippers. Yeah, okay. I don't care about everybody using the tip jar anymore. The percentage is still fine. You bought a $5 coffee, $1 isn't going to kill you. Still 20%. Good point. Dad Dash says tips should not be the largest part of our pay, but they are, Dad Dash. I bet right now, if we took everybody's earnings, if I was able to look at everybody's earnings that's here, shout out to the 268, hit the thumbs up for your boy. I bet if we added up all the DoorDash pay and all the customer tips, definitely customer tips would be higher. But I could see what you're saying there. Some people have to pay taxes on tips even if they don't get them. This is true. You pay taxes on tips if you're a server, and any credit card tips, you're paying taxes on those, taxable income. Yeah, if you have a server delivering food to you and taking your order, you have to tip, but I'm not tipping Jack in the Box. But why tip Shake Shack? Same kind of experience, very similar. Subway, they're making a sandwich, so it's okay. Do you tip Subway, right? They're making it in front of you, but Jack in the Box is still making your food in the back. You might not be able to see them. You might not see their eyeballs. They might not ask you a question. So the experience is slightly different, but very similar. They're preparing food for you. So why a tip in one place and not the next? Why don't you tip McDonald's? And listen, I know some of you guys are like, Pedro, what the fuck are you talking about? You're the tip guy. I am. But tonight I'm putting a different hat on because I believe the bigger issue is the tipping culture in America has started to slap the consumer around so much that they're tired of it. And Dashers are kind of taking the brunt of that. At least, what we do. I think some people are like, I just tipped 5 times today. I'm not tipping for my DoorDash. I'm not tipping and they refuse. I believe that. And the real question is, can we blame them? Can we blame somebody? Well, let's get into this article. And then I'm going to open all this up. Hannibal says they work hard. Tip your strippers, guys. Yes. Do you tip strippers? Put a thumbs up in the chat right now. Do you all the men and women, because women go to strip clubs as well. Do you tip your stripper? Do you tip your hairstylist, your barber? Do you tip your auto mechanic? Do you tip the guy that's taking care of your car and you're making money with your vehicle? Do you tip those people? Do you tip your mailman with a Christmas card if you know him or her? Who do you tip and who don't you tip? Let's read this article real quick. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to go through these 5 reasons. I'm not going to be really lengthy. I'm not going to read every single bullet point. And I hope you guys can still see me. I think you can. Okay. Let's go to the first one here. As I go through these, I'm going to give you an opinion. Okay. This is the one I think you guys are going to slap me around in the face at, but I'm good with it. Okay. Larger orders don't mean more work for drivers. So let's paint a scenario here. We all know that most consumers are tipping off a percentage, especially on DoorDash or when you go out to eat, whatever. And I've talked about this before, and some of you guys, disagree, and that's okay. Most of the time. So we're gonna exclude one type of order, because sometimes some of these big orders, where you have to set them up, and maybe it's like a deliver that or something. It's like a big party for a company or some kind of team or a school, and you got to set it up. And I've done a couple of those, right? And it takes you 30 minutes to set it up, or maybe it's only 15, 20, but it's a little bit of work involved. Some sternos, you got to turn some things on, you got to do some things and lay napkins and plates out. A little bit of effort, right? Okay. I'm excluding those orders because most of us do not do those on a daily basis. Very, very, very rare. Okay. Especially with DoorDash, right? So let's give you guys a scenario. This is what consumers are saying. Larger orders don't mean more work for drivers. A $20 tip is weak, but I'm not sure I see a $100 tip as justified, wrote Tom. So imagine, it's just one food delivery regardless of the value. $388 in sushi takes no more effort to deliver than 2 pizzas. Listen, y'all, I agree with him. It's a matter of sheer luck. If I get a sushi joint and it's $388 worth of food, do I expect or anticipate a bigger tip? I absolutely do, because I'm going off a percentage and I'm going off what most people do, right? So if DoorDash is showing me $625 and I see the subtotal at $388, I'm happy. I'm like, damn, I'm about to get 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks. This is going to be lit. Woo, I can end my day early. I'm happy, happy, happy. Thanks, Dexter, for the $4.99. So imagine you're picking up sushi, $388. So let's say that's 2 bags, 2 nice sized bags, like the brown bags, handles on the top, 2 bags, very easy. Okay, it's 5 pounds in each bag, let's just say. Okay. You walk in, you pick it up, you put it in your car, hot bag or not, whatever. You drive 2 miles to the drop off. You leave it on the doorstep. You ring the bell because it says to please ring the bell. You snap a photo. Pretty fucking easy. $388, no more work. Imagine a McDonald's order worth $15 worth of McDonald's, a couple of value meals or whatever. Also, 2 bags. Also, 2 miles. Also, leave it at the door. Also, please ring the bell. Also, take a picture, walk to your car. The work was identical, but should the consumer give the driver more just because the subtotal's higher? Now, obviously, most people are going to tip more if the subtotal's higher, but we did the same work, right? So for me, it's just a matter of luck if you happen to get that large subtotal. That's all it is. So do DoorDash drivers, should we expect more from the consumer based on the subtotal? Now, if I drop that order off and it's they left me a $20 tip on 388, a lot of you guys would be mad at that. You'd be very disappointed. Some of you would make a video. If I was filming a video, would be like, damn, that's a low tip. But I'd still be happy with it because I made $20 I made 22 bucks, let's just say, for 2 miles. I'm not mad, but maybe I'm surprised. But I think many of you would be upset, mad, livid. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Especially maybe if you had to wait a while, right? Because you anticipated more. But the kind of work that we did was the same as the McDonald's. Maybe it was easy. Maybe it was easier. So that's the number one thing. Like one of the 5 large orders don't mean more work for drivers. Most of the time, I think that is a true statement. Most of the time, not all the time. I want you, don't get my words twisted. Beat me up in the comments. I'm fine with it. That's my opinion. I want somebody to come on here tonight and tell me different. Second one. I'm going to go through these fast. Drivers shouldn't expect the same tips as restaurant workers. Now, this one, I could debate this till this person. What was wrong with that $20 tip? Wrote Len from Pennsylvania and comment with 3,300 recommendations. It's not as if the driver cooked the food. He didn't provide table service. He just delivered the package. Let me tell you something. What's your name? Len. Let me tell you something. We have no protections. We're driving our own automobile. It's not the same as a server. Now, some things servers do could be more difficult and more stressful than us. And some things we do is more stressful and more difficult than them. We're driving our own automobile. We're outside. We're ordering for you. We're doing a lot. Okay. So if you think you shouldn't tip a driver because we're less than a server, you're a fool. That's all the attention I'm going to give you. What's his name? Len. Yeah, I can't rock with that. What do y'all think? Drivers shouldn't expect the same tips as restaurant workers? Stupid. Absolutely stupid. Don't believe that one. Third one. Drivers should be tipped based on how difficult their delivery was. Now, this one's interesting because imagine this, okay? Not all deliveries are difficult. I would say I'll share my perspective. You guys could talk amongst yourselves in the chat. I can't read the whole chat, but we'll get interactive soon. Don't worry. Most of my deliveries are pretty fucking easy. Most. It's the ones that aren't that stand out. Those are the ones that we think about. Those are the ones we make videos about. I've done it. I'm guilty of it. Most deliveries are pretty easy. Okay? Most. Now, we do have the ones, and I think to their point, I was fully under the impression that you tip a delivery driver person based on a geographic length of the delivery, blah, 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 like the distance, things like that. Most people don't care. Most people do not care where their food's coming from. Sometimes they don't even know. They're ordering from Chick-fil-A that they think's a mile away, but it's coming from a Chick-fil-A 10 miles away because the app works like that or whatever, right? They have no idea, okay? Unless they're calling the particular local joint themselves, they might know, it's a couple miles away or it's 20 miles away, right? But should we be paid based on difficulty? So if somebody's in an apartment, 20 stories up, somebody's at work, they understand it's hard to get in. You got to sign an iPad to get in. You got to go up an elevator. You got to put a door code in. If you live in a place where it's like driving in the middle of nowhere. I got some of that here in St. Louis. Many of you guys have it too. Driving up a really steep hill. It's snowy, inclement weather. Like if the drop-off's more difficult, should we be paid more? Listen, I think we should. I think if there's inclement weather, usually sometimes there's probably a peak pay. So the apps kind of take care of that, or surge with Uber or whatever, or Instacart has the heavy lift pay, right? Or something, whatever they call it, heavy pay. And they give you a little bit more, which is stupid, but whatever. It should be more than they give you. But yeah, I mean, do I deserve the same amount of money from DoorDash or the consumer? If one of them is a mile away, leave it at the door, boom, and it's like so easy. And then the other one's 5 miles away. Door code, gate code, elevator, 6 floors, drop off. They didn't give me good instructions. Yeah, I should be paid more. The customer should pay me more. The company should pay me more based on the amount of time, because it's all about time, right? If it's a difficult drop off or whatever, the difficulty probably equates more time. So yes, we should be paid more. That's my opinion on that. Fourth one, real quick, almost done. Why should the customer be responsible for paying these workers a living wage? This is the juicy one here. This is the juicy one here. Because the companies do get away with paying us a low wage because we're independent. So they can do that. And they know people are going to still do this work. The turnover rate's incredibly high, right? Others said that customers' tipping habits shouldn't be blamed for gig workers' financial struggles. I feel for them, but tipping culture in the U.S. has gone berserk, wrote SJ from Chicago in a comment with 3,300 recommendations. You don't address the root cause and solve wage issues, rather cruelly force people to live on someone else's generosity. And that's been happening for really hundreds of years in this country, right? But what I would say to that is, SJ from Chicago, yeah, if they pay us a fair wage, if they made every trip $10 or whatever and paid us extra for mileage, we'd be happy, right? But you guys as a consumer are always going to pay for it. So stop acting like you don't know how business works and economics works. And come on, SJ, let's be rational here. If they pay us more, they're going to shift the cost to you. All businesses do it. So you're going to pay the same, probably, if not more, for that burrito than if you just put a couple dollars on the table or in our pocket. So SJ, really ignorant comment there. It's just, it makes no, I get it, but the consumer is always going to pay. So then we're going to go back to this. Well, now you're overcharging me. And now the companies won't be able to facilitate as many deliveries. Consumers will stop ordering less, and then there'll be less money for us to make. The financial structure of the country would start to look a little weird, because then a lot of other people wouldn't have money to buy this and buy that. And maybe SJ has some kind of shop. People aren't going to be able to do his shop now because they don't have money. And it's really a ripple effect. And really, it all starts with, can you just be a kind, generous human being and understand and leave a tip to somebody doing something for you that you can probably do yourself? So it starts with you, SJ. But I can talk about that for a whole nother live. And number 5. Gig work was never intended to be a full-time job. Now, this is where Pedro's going to really piss some people off. Now, I don't disagree with that. I don't. I think a lot of us can do this full-time. But like I've said for the last 2 years, it's very, very small percentage that can sustain this type of work full-time. And really, I think the app is designed in a way that we're not supposed to do it for a long period of time. And that's why we see so many drivers that are frustrated, because those are typically the ones that are doing it long time. And they're frustrated. But it's not supposed to be. That's not the intention of it. It's not the intention. It's just my opinion. I'm ready to get beat up in the live stream tonight in the comments. I don't believe this work is intended to be a full-time job for a majority of us. I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm speaking in generalizations. I, as an influencer on YouTube and in this community, one of many great ones, would not recommend somebody leaving a W-2 job if they're making a good money on a W-2 to do this work full-time and not have an end game, an end goal. I definitely would not recommend it, because most people can't sustain this full-time. It's my opinion. I'm ready to fight and argue. The gloves are on tonight. Those are the 5 reasons. So let me go ahead and get back into the StreamYard with you guys. I know I've shared a lot. I've ranted. I've rambled. Shout out to Hannibal Tongue for bringing this article to my attention. Let me read some comments. I'm going to put the StreamYard link up. We are freelancers. I value the flexibility. Dadesh got a Malta app for sure. Pedro, has anyone seen that DoorDash is charging the customer an extra $1 that's supposed to go to the drivers? Hold on. In some markets, I think that's true. There are some markets where the city has capped the percentage it can charge the restaurants, that DoorDash can charge restaurants. So then a lot of places that put what's called a regulatory fee. I have one in St. Louis regulatory fee. At least I did. I don't know if it's still there or not. But I have heard of that, but I don't think it's nationwide. I could be wrong. You guys tell me in the comments if I am. All right, let me pin this StreamYard for you guys. I got the topics laid out for you. I've voiced my opinion. I don't think it's justified that we should make more money based on the subtotal. Just don't. I think it's luck. I think we have to just say, hey, I feel grateful. I feel lucky that they sent me that offer with a high subtotal. if it's the same amount of work now, I don't want nobody coming in, what Pedro, I had to set up this catering. It took me an hour and a half. That's different. I'm talking about a sushi order for $388. Why do we deserve more money from that? Just because it's more, we didn't do more work. The reason we will get more is we're just lucky. We happen to be, DoorDash graced us with that order. We happen to be able to pick it up. We got lucky. That's it, right? There's no, we think about it like this. Like if you're somebody that thinks the person at a W-2 should be paid more based on their effort, the time, the energy, their skill level, I do. I believe that the better worker should be paid more. So what's the difference in food delivery? If the work is equal, why make more than somebody else? I don't know. I'm ready to get beat up tonight. I'll say that. I'm playing devil's advocate. Tipping culture in America has gotten a little crazy. And I think because it's gotten so crazy, it's affecting us good drivers. And that's why it upsets me. And that's why I still believe in no tip, no trip. But it's been a ripple effect. Okay. Let me go ahead and share this with you guys. And let's get this show cracking tonight. And I'm looking for people that all those 5 things I just said, I voiced my opinion on them. I'm looking for difference of opinion. I don't want somebody coming up saying, yeah, Pedro, I agree with you. I want a difference of opinion tonight. It's my show. That's what I'm looking for. I want to learn. I want to hear somebody else's perspective. I'm being very clear. That is what the show is tonight. If you're not ready for that, please just sit back, watch, and enjoy. Okay? So come with a different viewpoint. Come teach me something tonight. Tell me why I'm off base. Tell me like, Pedro, no, dude, this is why that sushi order should pay us more. We should demand more. This is why this should be full-time work. Pedro, we tipping culture is fine the way it is. Everybody should tip. I want to hear, because I don't think I don't think tipping culture is okay. I think it's getting worse year by year. Okay. Is this? What's the show? What's the name of the show tonight? Okay. Let me make sure I got the right one because I got a different one there. Okay. So let me go ahead and copy this link. I'm going to pin it at the top of the chat. So anybody that's coming in, paste, boom. The tip as a reflection of what a tip is, and it should be a gratuity. Okay. Let me hold on. I gotta pin this before the chat goes crazy. Hold up. Oh man, what's happening here? Pin. There we go. Pin message. Okay. StreamYard link is open. It's pinned up at the top. I'm going to read some comments here. Let me go ahead and pull. I gotta pull my ticker on. I've already rambled. What time is it? Woo, we've gone 32 minutes. Your boy is on fire tonight. All right, let's go ahead and go here. I gotta put the ticker at the bottom. Bam, bam. I think we got a little banner too somewhere. Let me see. Tipping culture in America. Okay. I'm going to make that smaller though. Can I make it smaller? Yeah. Yeah. We'll do that one. Okay. I'm sure I missed some really good comments. Jump on, Levi. Give us another 20 minutes. Ooh, okay. Well, I don't know what that means, but 20% tip for delivery drivers. Okay. Before I get in too far, I mentioned Australia. Hannibal, what up? Tip your hairstylists, especially if they're making you look fly. Facts. Lately, I've been I used to kind of trim my own beard or not trim it. I've been trying to keep it a little bit cleaner, and I go to a girl every 2 weeks. And they only charge $7 to do a beard trim, which is like really cheap, right? But I get like the MVP deal where it's like, anyways, but I tip her like $15. Like she does a great job. She takes care of me. She does it pretty decent for me. I tip her $15. But I also do that because when I go in there the next time, and I've gone a few times now, she's going to take care of me. Like she's going to maybe put me in the front of the line or maybe not, or what, like she's going to take care of me because I'm taking care of her. So it's a relationship you're building, right? But in food delivery, it's different. Some of us have relationships with our consumers, but it's not like you're seeing the same person every day, right? So it's a little bit different. You might deliver somebody to something once and you might never see them again, or maybe you only see them once or twice again in the next couple of months. So the relationships are very different. Okay. So I see a couple people popping in. Remember, different of opinion. That's what we're looking for tonight. So I see Tony, I see Bud Soda. I'll bring you guys in a minute. I want to go ahead and get to the top here. I mentioned Australia. So we had Chris, YouTube content creator, Chris Boy. I'm going to have him on for a one-on-one sometime in June or July. We're going to book something for you guys, and we're going to talk deeper dive into Australia, how it works over there. They don't have a tipping culture in Australia, and they get paid, as he showed us, per kilometer. It's a base pay of like $4 or $5 per order, and they get paid based on distance. And I made a video, I don't know, a while ago, talking about what if we were like taxi drivers? You know, you get in an old taxi, on the side of the taxi or the van or the cab, it would say, $2 to get in, $1.50 additional passenger, what, $1 or $2 a mile, whatever. And then it had like the fees on there, right? So the drivers are getting paid based on the distance they were going, the amount of passengers they were doing, right? So why can't it be like that in DoorDash or Uber? Why can't we just make everything, the consumer would just be charged based on the distance they are from the restaurant or the type of building they live in, right? Or the type of things that, like is it a shop and pay? Is it just a drop off? Is it from a fancy restaurant where the wait time is going to be longer? So then we get more based on wait time, because Uber pays you for wait time a little bit, I think sometimes, right? And then if it's like a fast pickup like McDonald's, maybe it's a little bit less. I don't know, right? I think the AI could figure that out for us, right? Why couldn't we just be paid on that? And then we'd see all the information. So the DoorDash offer screen would show McDonald's, 5 miles, $8. Estimated time, 20 minutes. So if it goes over that 20-minute time because of traffic, because of slow restaurant, then you're going to get paid a little bit more than that $8. And if the customer doesn't even have to tip, they're being charged a particular wage or a particular amount based on where they live, distance to the restaurant, type of restaurant they're ordering from. Wouldn't that make things easier? I don't know. Maybe it would in some cases, maybe it would in other cases. I have no idea. Let's see what you guys got to say. Kim, what's up, Kim? I would love to hear Kim's perspective on this. Kim, what if DoorDash and these companies didn't even ask a tip of the consumer? We got paid fairly based on mileage, wait time, difficulty of drop off. We would see full payouts. There'd be no hidden tips, no nothing. What do you say to that? What up, Red? Our show long is take them answer the door. Hello, Pedro. You are the best. What up, Eric? I just think that, the tipping culture in America has gotten a little bit crazy. I really believe it has. And that's weird coming from me, right? Because I tip very well when I go out. I require tips when I do delivery. Anita says, if you don't want to tip at least 20%, I don't think you should be having someone else do things for you. If you can't afford it, cook at home. That's a lot of drivers say that. Nomadic, what up? I don't know where in California you've been, but it has been sunny. Okay. Delivering with Ellen, what up? All right, let's put the headphones on. I'm going to let these two gentlemen come in. So we have Bud Soda and we have the Driven Dad. Okay, let's see. Make a sandwich, yeah. Oh, look at Anthony. Dude, Pedro, if you just want to talk to your friends, call them. Don't have a chat. Unreal. Anthony, I have no idea what you're talking about, but thanks for watching. Okay. Let's go Tony and Bud Soda. Gentlemen, what do you say about the topics tonight?
Go ahead, Tony.
Hey, what's up, Pedro?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. So, I just think that if you're not you, but the article you're talking about.
Yeah.
That perspective, why would you think, oh, I'm going to tip everywhere else that I don't think should get a tip, but the places that do deserve a tip, I'm going to not tip?
Give me an example.
So like the Steak and Shake Shack and the auto mechanic and all this other stuff, that are, if they're starting to put tip expectations out to the customers, but like your pizza driver, your Domino's driver, your Chinese food driver, your DoorDash driver, your Uber driver, like that's where you should still tip and just decide not to tip in the out of control tip culture that's started.
Yeah, I get your point. So you're saying, yeah, tips have gotten to where they're like kind of everywhere. So it should be
Right.
on the consumer to recognize what is a fair place to tip and what isn't a fair place. It doesn't
Yeah,
mean
it just
it
sounds
doesn't
like
mean
in
to
this
punish the it doesn't mean to punish the ones that have been getting tips
right.
and
It
deserve
just
tips.
sounds like those are the people that don't tip anyways, and now
Mhm.
they're just using this as an excuse to have a platform like, oh, now I'm not going to tip because all these places say I want you to tip, so nobody gets a tip. Like nobody was getting a tip from these people in the first place.
Mm. Yeah, it could be. You don't think that there's been some people that were tippers, just generally speaking, but now they're just kind of tired of it? You don't think there's a subset of those people?
There could be, but that would probably be more based off of the experience of the service.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Bud Soda, what do you
But
say? Oh, Bud Soda's busy. Go ahead, Tony.
Hey, I'm good. I just
Oh,
I
okay.
go
ahead.
on mute.
Go ahead.
It went on mute.
Okay, go ahead.
So everyone's saying like, okay, yeah, the mechanic is something you don't expect to tip, but think about it. Most shops, like, yeah, there's a lot of overhead, but these corporate chains, they can afford to pay their guys more, but they still don't. And these are the ones actually putting the tip incentive in. I heard a couple of the corporate chains were. So like, I would not even give it to the register. It's a gift, quote unquote, to do it the not to be too political, but do it the libertarian tax-free way, and just straight up give them a 10 or 20 if you appreciate their service when they're doing your oil change or tire rotation or whatever that, or more advanced stuff. Because a lot of these guys are making a buck or two above minimum wage when they got to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on like tools. Think of how much the average Snap-on tool set costs. Even the basic set is like $5,000 for the toolbox in a set. So these guys are spending an immaculate amount of money. They go to school for a lot of it, like even if they just do the technical school. But in a lot of states, they're taking away the free one through the high school, so they have to pay for that now. And to use those computers and stuff to pay for those is ridiculous amounts of money. So everyone whining, oh my God, everyone wants a tip. Okay, if you're mad that your Shake Shack's asking for a tip, but the what do you say? Jack in the Box doesn't. Go wait in a long line at the Jack in the Box then if you don't want to pay. Oh, but I want it now. Oh, okay. Do you want it? And then on the sushi thing, like a lot of times I'm almost right on top of the place. And Tony mentioned this in the chat too. A lot of times you have to wait for if it's $307 sushi, that's a lot of sushi. And those guys work fast. They work their ass off in here. And, unlike someone else in the chat earlier, oh, your place sucks. No, my place is awesome. Most regular orders are ready, sitting there waiting, or it's like 2-minute wait. And all of those don't roll the tip back. But every single time, I think except once in the past 6 months that I've taken an LOP, $100 or more, they've rolled the tip back to $5 or less on me. So that's very frustrating when I sat there and waited for them 15, 25 minutes. And I don't feel guilty about stacking on those anymore because of that.
So I want to ask Tony a question because I mentioned Bud Soda just kind of touched on it, and then Bud Soda, you could kind of help answer. So I gave the scenario like they did in the article. The sushi's $388, right? And then let's say there's another delivery for a $15 McDonald's, right? The distance is the same, the effort's the same. Let's say you don't have to wait on the sushi. Like, should we be as drivers, as third-party couriers, picking something off, dropping it off, should we be paid more based on a subtotal? What do you say to
that? In my opinion, yes, because I've always tipped that way, even before I was a food delivery driver or an Uber driver. But and I'm talking delivery wise. But the reverse question I have for you is if it's not based off subtotal, why wouldn't the tip be assumed that everybody should tip at the higher rate versus the lower rate? So if you're getting a $15 McDonald's and a $400 sushi order, should not the tip be the same on the high end for everything versus the low end?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean. You mean like, do I think that
okay, it's the effort's the same for $15 McDonald's, you're gonna get like a $3 tip for that.
Yeah.
But the $3 tip on the sushi, why wouldn't it be like $60 for the sushi and $60 for the McDonald's, whether or not the price is the same?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't expect somebody to tip me $60 for $15 with McDonald's, but I guess should I,
Right. That's
should I
why
expect
I'm
somebody
making
to?
that argument.
Yeah.
Is it doesn't make sense. So it doesn't make sense why, when you're ordering a lot of food, you should tip higher.
No, I get what you're saying. I think for me, like if somebody ordered 300 and whatever dollars worth of sushi and they left me a $20 tip, I might be surprised by it because I was anticipating a 15 to
Right.
20%, but I'm not going to be upset. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like,
I
because
wouldn't be
it's still
upset
20, it's still $20. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I wouldn't be upset with the $20 payout on a sushi order as much as it would be a $8 payout on a sushi order that's $400.
Yeah.
Like, especially since I know not just sushi, but especially sushi on LOPs, you're waiting there for those orders to be completed because they're that big and they ordered it through DoorDash. So it's not like it was pre-scheduled where the restaurant knew that they needed to prepare for that pickup time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And
But listen, but Bud Soda, hold on. So I get that, but I'm saying, are we doing more work?
Absolutely, because I could be making more money delivering other things while if the apps didn't penalize you for leaving and coming back when the restaurant says it's going to be 20 minutes, you could go do a quick order and be back and it's still 5 more minutes to wait. But no, they will penalize you. They'll give you a contract violation. If it's Grubhub, they can decide that you're going to not be able to schedule blocks. So you have to do the Grubhub Now thing or whatever, be available versus schedule. So they penalize you for that stuff.
But so go ahead. You're going to say something. Go ahead.
So, okay. So even on the pre-schedules, I've been to Red Robin's where they were a pre-schedule, but it wasn't right at open. So they didn't start it until it was basically due, and I had to sit there and wait 20 minutes. Thank goodness I did. It ended up being $40-something. But, the fact that even if it's a Easy Cater, quote-unquote, pre-schedule on any app, forget DoorDash, and, you can't just feel entitled and like, oh, I paid all this money. I got to take some of this tip back. That's like taking the tip away from your wait staff at the restaurant when, you had a $200 bill because, oh my God, I spent all this money. What am I doing? That's your problem. You spent that money. If you don't want to spend that money, you make it yourself or you go pick it up yourself. Just saying.
No, I'm an advocate for if you can't afford to, tip somebody and make a sandwich. Listen, I was going to order something today. And part of me, I was sitting around with the kid. We were just hanging out, watching basketball, just having a very relaxing day. I was like, oh, you know what? A pizza sounds good right now. I was like, yeah, I started to order it. It was going to be like $25. I was like, nah, I got some dirty rice mix. I got some turkey sausage. And I made food and it didn't cost me anything but like the $3 I spent at the grocery store, which I had already spent. Right. So for me, I'm always like, yeah, if you don't feel like you can afford or want to spend the money for the fees and the service and the tip, then yeah, you should make a sandwich or some rice or something because that's the better choice. I shouldn't feel my matter of inconvenience or like my luxury or my gluttony. I shouldn't like not tip somebody because I'm feeling that way and make somebody else go get my food when I can just make a sandwich. Like to me, yeah, I'm definitely for that. But I think for me, we're lucky. I think, yeah, there are times we're going to have to wait for orders, but we still have that decision. If you get there, hey, okay, it's going to be 20 minutes. We have the choice to drop it or whatever, right? They give us that leeway in all the apps. We don't have to stay. But for me, it's like, in the cases where I'm picking up, let's just not call it a $300 order because most of us aren't seeing those on a regular basis. Even if you have LOP, we're not seeing 300s on a regular. But we could see a $100 order from a Papa John's. It could be 5 pizzas. I could walk in, those pizzas could be ready. And, do I deserve more money for that than the McDonald's order? I don't know. That's why I'm asking you guys. What do you say to that? But
most likely no. And then if you're a responsible driver, even if it's not the freebie bags, you definitely went and bought a catering bag And if that's enough to have to use your catering bag too, then you went and paid for that. So why not? Because you are actually properly prepared versus some of these yazoos, they never, even if they are given a freebie one, they just throw it somewhere in their car and never use the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, visual versus actual, but at the same time, I think it does matter, especially with pizzas. There's a lot of heat that radiates off them. So if it's a 30-degree day out, pretend it was a couple months back in St. Louis, and you didn't use your bag, those pizzas would be ice cold by the time you brought them to the door. If you had to stack.
But so I gotta mute you, man. It's really bad static. Anyways, Tony. So, was there anything else in the article? Any of the other three things? They talked about. This shouldn't be a full-time job, or they talked about why should I have to pay your wage? Your company should pay. Is there anything else that you saw in that article that you had an opinion about?
Yeah, hold on one second. Let me drop this food off to this person.
And I see JP, I see you in the back. I'm going to bring you up in a minute. I see Hector, I see Gigwise. I'll bring you guys up when me and Tony and Bud Soda are finished. I'll bring you three up.
I'll just mention real quick, I'm sorry about the static. It's probably me moving in and out of the car. Is that I really think that if you do work hard at this and you do that, I'm not asking for a $60 tip on $300. But if you don't at least select 10, you're kind of a piece of trash in my opinion. No offense. I'm just saying, go get it yourself. That's fine. That's just my argument.
I got mute, but so it's really staticky, man. Go, Tony, whenever you're ready, go ahead and jump in.
I'm back.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, that's one thing I don't really disagree with is the customers having to tip to give us the living wage.
Mm-hmm.
The companies do need to probably pay us more, but they don't. And as far as full-time job, I don't know about DoorDash and Grubhub, but Uber and Lyft for sure set things up where they want you to be a full-time driver. Look at the Quest; it's like 80 trips.
Yeah, I had one this week that was 80. I was like, man, that's a lot for rideshare.
Right. So that's
lot,
what I mean. It's not meant to be a full-time job, but yet they make you have to work full-time to get the maximum pay.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good point. Rideshare definitely does that with the Quest and promo. Sometimes they'll float you on, 3, 4, 5 trips for 100, but that's very rare. I might see one of those a year, maybe. And that's usually when I haven't been on the app for a while and they wanted to get me back a little bit. But good point on that.
But my opinion is also that regardless of what the company pays, that shouldn't I know that I go to restaurants where the serving staff doesn't not make the server's minimum wage, but I still tip them a really good amount.
Yeah. No, I hear that 100%. And now it's hard to, now it's like some places I know they might pay based on your city or your state, they might make $3, $4, $5. Some places are paying the bartender $10, $12 an hour. Right. And then they're making tips and they're making a good living, but I'm not going to tip them less because the boss is paying them more, right. But I do agree. I do think the companies can do a better job of compensating workers, even if it's not just with base pay, it could be with other things, certain type of benefits or rewards or a gas this or, something to kind of just show a little more of the care value, as I call it, to keep and it would retain more drivers, I think, as well. And it would serve them better in the long run. So
that's where I agree with you on that point too, though, that the apps are set up for turnover because they don't want smart drivers. They want drivers who don't know the loopholes and the strategies to maximize income, because that means that, they're not having their point A to point B times at the ideal amount.
Yeah. No, I agree.
For their bottom line,
I agree. 100%.
So they want stupid drivers, not like they're stupid but ignorant, I guess. Like they don't know yet.
They want new drivers because we were all there at one point, and I think that they also realized that the turnover is really high, so they could you know, the OGs or the vets will fall off, and even the new people will fall off, and they'll bring a new crop in, and they'll just still kind of just take whatever or not know
Right.
any better, and it
Well,
serves
that's why
their labor costs better, you know.
That's why they don't give veterans drivers any sort of incentives to remain a driver, because they really don't want them.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Good point. Tony, thanks, man. I know you're out there making money. Be safe. Bud Soda, thank you. I'm going to bring in the
Thank
next
you.
3 ladies and gentlemen coming up.
All
I
right.
appreciate you guys sharing your opinions very much, and have a great night.
Appreciate you.
You as well.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Tony.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Okay, so, all right. So I see JP. I see a name I've never seen before, and I have to say this. I know Hector, JP, and Gigwise. The name that's behind, you have an avatar. I can't bring you on unless I either see a face or I know the person. So sorry for that. If you're new, I get it. If you don't want to show your face, you don't have to, but I can't bring you on the screen without that. So just got to be transparent and give you a heads up with that. Okay, so I'm going to read a couple comments before I bring these next panelists up to talk about tipping in America, the tipping culture. Is it out of hand? Should we as drivers, should we make more just because the subtotal is higher? Should we do this work full time? Should tipping go away? Should we go to an Australia model to where you're just getting paid by mileage, distance, time? Would that be more fair? Would it serve us as drivers better? Would it serve the company and consumer better? Right? I think in some cases it might, and it would be a very big shift. I think some of us would make more, some might make less. So, you know, who knows, right? But is the tipping, is it getting out of control? Are the consumer, and we're all consumers. So I think we can all relate on some level. And I realize most of us, you know, because we're making money on tips, when we go out to eat, I'm sure we are probably tipping. Granted that we get a good experience and everything's okay, right? But I feel like the average American, especially people that never done a service job, I think they're just kind of tired of it. I really believe they are. And talking with friends this week, some family, reading comments, looking at some stories and blogs that were written, I feel consumers are tired of it. I think especially some of the younger ones, they're like so anti-establishment, anti-government, anti-big business, and they want those businesses held accountable, and they want companies like DoorDash or whoever to pay their workers better, and they don't want to feel the responsibility of that. And I understand that to a certain degree. All right, let's read some comments here. Of course, you should make more with a higher subtotal. It's more responsibility. Kevin Anderson, it's not always more responsibility. I would have to vehemently disagree with you on that statement. There have been many times I've gone to a McDonald's and waited for a $5 payout, let's just say, going a mile or two, to whereas I've walked into a Papa John's and had a $60 order, and I walked in, it was ready, and I dropped it off to the local the school I go to or a hospital, and it was easier than the McDonald's. So I don't understand that. That's not always true. Your larger subtotal does not mean more work. That's not a true statement. Sometimes it does, but the same can be said for sometimes a small subtotal could be more work. There's a lot of other factors there. We don't make the food. We carry it and we pick it up. We pick it up and we drop it off. We're not making food. We're not bagging it up. You know, that large subtotal order could be a leave it at the door, really easy. It could be at a hospital. They meet you outside. You hand it to them. The low subtotal order could be 5 stories up, elevator gate code. So subtotals are subjective too, I think, a little bit. What up, Levi? Better than door trash. Let's see. Grubhub does pay better. I literally can't even see myself doing DoorDash consistently. Well, Grubhub, though, they just don't have the market share. So I think Grubhub's very market dependent on if you're going to be able to make a living based on how many merchants they have and how Grubhub does their business from area to area. Bro, I tip homeless people more than $2. That's funny, actually. I don't tip more than $2 for anything. So Sammy says, you got a Chicago Bears hat on. I see you, Sammy. I don't tip more than $2 for anything. Wow. Well, good luck in the chat, because I think a lot of people would disagree with you on that. Okay, let's bring up these next panelists up real quick. But we're filling drinks. Oh, Jeff says, but we're filling drinks. Listen, I want to ask you a question before I bring in these guys. How many drinks did you guys fill up this week? I want to see numbers right now. Okay, I feel like it's split. Some of y'all love to don't mind doing drinks, and other of you guys hate it. I've seen petitions. Don't do drinks anymore. How many drink cups did you fill up this week? Put the number in the chat right now. I'm going to sit back for a minute. JP, Hector, Tim, you guys, 1 second. I want to see these comments real quick. Let's see. 8 0 0 2 0 6 0 5 to 7 5 to 6 0 0 7. So the 0 is either the people that hate doing it or they just don't mind it, but they didn't have any opportunity. 65 deliveries, 4 drinks, 6. 14. Uncle Charles, that's a lot. Easy Rider, 10 to 15. Zeros. I'm seeing a lot of zeros. I'm seeing 5, 6, 12. Wow. What was the question? I was on the phone. Gig Tim, how many drinks did you fill up this week? Wingstop. In our market, what? Wingstop. What's the other one that gives you a cup? Penn Station, is it? No. Firehouse, Wingstop. There's another one that gives us cup. Slim Chickens. Yeah. How many drinks did you do? 0 this week. I think 1 last week. Okay. Already pre-packaged. Okay. Yep. 5 to 6. Okay. KFC. Okay. Yeah. Wingstop says that. Wingstop is the number 1 culprit, I think. Okay. So I don't see a lot. I mean, not a lot. Half of you guys have done a lot. I see a lot of zeros though. Right. So for me, I don't think drinks are a big issue. And I'll say this for the ones that think it's like really bad. I'm not seeing any news stories about anybody getting sick. I'm not seeing anything about anybody. I'm not seeing any news stories about. I'm not seeing anything significant about drinks. I think if it was as big of a deal as some of us think it was, I think the health departments would be on it. But I don't feel like it's a big deal. I'm probably the minority in that, but I just don't. I don't get it. But okay, that's a whole nother day, whole nother topic. Let's bring up this next panelist. We got JP. What's up, JP?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? Hector, what's up, man?
Yo, what's up, buddy? How's it going?
Go Knicks.
I know.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tim, Gigwise, what's up, bro? Can you hear us? Can I hear you? Say something.
What's going on? I had my mic muted.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good.
Here.
I just want to make sure the connection was good. And I got Matrix as well. Let me bring Matrix in real quick. Matrix, how you doing, man?
What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up? All right, so let's start with JP. JP, you've been hearing the topics, the 5 lists I gave for the consumers. Give me your perspective on what you've been hearing tonight so far.
What I've heard, first off, I do think that the more, I don't know, I'm hearing an echo. Are you hearing that?
Hold on. We're good now. Go ahead.
Okay. So
Nope. Hold on. Let me mute.
I'm going to put it off in the background just to make sure there's nothing there. How about now?
We're good. Go ahead.
Okay. What I would say is just based on how we have it arranged today, we have to have it be like a percentage, and the higher the ticket, the more it has to be. If it went to the model that you described, really we'd become W-2 employees, because you would be paid by the hour, by the expense, and all the rest. And frankly, I don't know that that's not the worst. I don't know that that's the worst thing in the world. I wouldn't do it anymore, but that's okay. I'd find other ways to go ahead and actually do what I want to do. But I do think that there is more work. If you have a $400 order, it's more than two bags. It's I delivered 2 $400 orders today. All right. And now granted, they were going to a professional baseball team, and they were, it was a prearranged catering. So there is more that goes into those, but most large orders like that, you have more. You got to have the hot bags to handle it. You got to have all of that kind of stuff. So, and I get it, the consumer doesn't necessarily recognize it, but they should.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, JP. The consumer doesn't recognize it. So there's some ignorance there. And I think that's where the disconnect comes, though. But good point. Go ahead.
And so I would say on all of it is that, if they change it, they change it. That's perfectly fine. I mean, this week I sent it, I put it into the chat, but I made 930 and I haven't finished. I didn't finish until about 9:30 tonight, but but with what I have in right now, I have $930 in tips, and I made $1,500 plus this week. So if tips went away, I don't think they pay me the rest of that. Okay, so and that's where the problem would be. Now, should DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, all of these companies pay a higher wage? Yeah, they should. Will they? And not until they're forced to. And that's where I'm at right now. And that's what I talked to my congressperson last week and said exactly the same thing to her. Was, hey, they're not going to change if you don't force them to change, because why should they? The people that are complaining. The last thing I'll say is the bleeding heart liberals from the New York Times are having this be said only so that they can get clicks and views and sell more. They don't sell papers anymore, but they get their clicks and views. That's why they're doing it. They're the ones getting paid $300,000-$400,000 a year. And I'm talking about the younger folks, are the ones that created DoorDash and Uber and Instacart and all the rest of these apps. That's the people that did this, and they're getting, the people that created it are getting filthy rich on it, and the people that work there are getting filthy rich on it. And you can work at a company like DoorDash, and even the analysts are now saying, wait a minute, you're paying $1 billion in employee stock compensation. That's just too much money for a company losing money. And same thing with Uber. It was almost $2 billion. Okay. And now no one's attacking them yet, but that's only because they're contributing so much to these companies in the form of advertising and everything else. That's going to come home to roost. Okay. And that's,
no, it will. The bubble will pop.
Yeah. And it's going to say, it's popped once before in this kind of an industry. And I just think that something else will come along when it does. And tipping culture in America is turning around. I'll just tell you, when they turn the pad around at a fast food restaurant, I'm not tipping them a dime. I spent 45 years in that business, and we paid. It wasn't enough. Okay, I will tell. I agree that it's just not enough money. And frankly, the older I got, the more I felt like we had to pay more and more. Just because people work hard. Right?
They do, especially in fast food and restaurants. It is hard work. It's physical and mentally. It could be tough. It could be hard. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, when I retired 2 years ago, it was. I was working 80, 90 hours a week, and I enjoyed what I was doing. So I only worked that hard because I liked it. All right. But I was traveling all the time and everything else. I told my kids, when they asked about what business would you go into, and one I said I wouldn't go into again would be restaurants, because it's just there's not enough money in it, too much work.
I think it's good to do a restaurant job at some point, either part-time or full-time for a year or a summer during college. I think everybody should have the experience, because I think you could learn a lot about yourself, different people, different backgrounds, different demographics. You could really learn how to get along and communicate with the public and your workers. But I wouldn't recommend doing it as a career. It's hard work. That's for sure. Let's go to Hector. Hector, what are your thoughts on this article? Do you think drivers should make more based on subtotals? Do you think we should be doing this as full-time work? What are your opinions on the article that we've talked about tonight?
So, how you doing, guys? Hope everybody's doing good tonight. In terms of us getting paid, we should get paid by the subtotal, but we're really not doing that much work. If you really think about it, I agree with you. I think to a certain sense, all we're doing is we're going to the business, we're picking up the food, we're putting it in our car, and we're driving to the spot. Now, the only thing that I do say is that I feel like we do deserve the tips that we have to, is because every single morning, we all invest our money up front to make our money for that day. For example, we're putting $20 in our gas, or at least I do. I know I fill up my tank every morning before I go to work, because you never know what the gas prices. They go up and down in the circles. It's crazy like that. But so you're investing your money up front. You know what I mean? You're going to different spots. You're actually moving. You're using your car as an investment to make money. So in terms of that, yes, you have to get paid for that. And I feel and what I really wanted to come on for is for the tipping culture. And I don't know how many people are going to be pissed off about this, but
speak on it, man. This is why, it's good. Go ahead.
Bro, people in Starbucks should not be asking for a tip. I am sorry. You guys, people like in Starbucks, I went to like a clothing store asking me for a tip. Bro, you giving me a hat, bro. Like, what kind of tip do you deserve
That's
from me?
okay, Hector. I'm glad you brought up the hat thing because this is the trend that I'm seeing as well. It's not just food and things. It's
Retail.
like retail, yeah. And it's to me, it's like, wow, where does it end? Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, like, bro, you bugging. Like you just gave me a hat. I'm giving you the stuff I want to buy. You put it in the register, and you're giving me handing you the money. I'm swiping my card, and we go about my business. You do not deserve a tip for that. Put that away. Do you know why people in the restaurant industry they deserve tips? Because they get paid over here in Texas $2.13 an hour.
Yeah, it's crazy.
$2. Let me repeat that again. $2.13 an hour versus a person in Starbucks or in a retail store, they're getting minimum $12, $13, $15 an hour. Like they have no rights. I'm sorry, no rights to collect any tips. As a server, you have every full right to collect the tip because let me tell you, me working there for 5 years, being a server, do you know what I had to do? I had to bus tables. I had to take orders. I had to go downstairs and change the kegs. I had to replenish ice. I had to cut fruits. I had to tend the door when it was really busy. I'm doing 7 things at one time.
So let me stop you there. You just gave me I had like a trauma echo. Like I remember the days at the casino doing all that kind of work. Like I feel you like 100%. Like I'm imagining doing the ice and the kegs, and those kegs can be a bitch sometimes, man. Right?
Yeah, and then that's when
some of the consumers, their point is, well, hold on, Hector. Why should I pay you to do that? Why isn't your boss paying you? What do you say to those people? Like, why isn't the restaurant that is employing you paying you a fair wage? Why should I have to? What do you say to that?
Because unlike any industry, the consumer is visually seeing you busting your ass from the jump. As soon as you sit down on your table, that person is taking your order. He's making sure that your order is coming out right, taking the drinks. Sometimes you will have a party of, you probably had this, of like 15 people, and they all want different types of drinks. Have you ever tried to put all those drinks all in one tray and land them? Yeah, I'm sorry?
It sucks, yeah.
Yeah, but have you done that before where you had like 15 drinks or 10 drinks
listen,
and you
bro,
put it on the tray and then you're putting it on the table?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, okay. Yes. That's part one. Number two, I'm taking your food order. There's a lot of people that are picky. I'm gonna tell you that right now, man. Taking an food order, oh Lord have mercy. There's so many picky people out there. So you gotta tend to that. Then you gotta go to the computer. Then you gotta expo food. You gotta put the garnish on, like blue cheese for the buffalo wings. Like people are visually seeing you do the work. It's not like McDonald's where you see a person there like scratching their head, contemplating about quitting in 5 seconds. They're not doing anything, bro. Even the ladies back there, they're comfortable, bro. Like the ones that are doing the burgers, they are comfortable. They are no rush to flip a burger. I'm telling you right now, nobody's screaming at them or anything. Not at least the McDonald's that I see or any other fast food.
Well, it'll be situation based. There are some
places right.
I go to some McDonald's and they're working hard. You could tell, and and it's relative. Like you mentioned, like the 15 cups and the blue cheese, but like what about we talked about auto mechanics or like the Valvoline guy. Like they're getting dirty. They're checking your fluids. They're getting dirty. They're going down in the bay. They're flushing your oil. Like, do we tip those people? That's hard work too, right?
Because they could put whatever labor cost they want. They could charge you. I'm gonna charge you $100 for labor for doing this, or I'm gonna charge you $200 for labor. Mechanics can name the price that they want. They are calling their own tip.
Yeah,
we are suggesting tips where we're a server. For them, they could just name whatever labor cost they want.
True.
And they could be like, you paying me that amount. You know what I mean? So it's like technically,
that's a good point.
Technically it's like they don't need a tip because they're requesting their own suggested tip. This is what you got to pay me or I'm not doing the job. It's as simple as like that. And mechanics, they do a lot of work. I respect that, but they don't even deserve a tip. I'm so sorry.
No, I hear that. I don't tip my mechanic. I tip my tire guy sometimes. Like if I have like a nail, or I just do it because I want to build a good relationship. And sometimes those spots, like I want to be in and out real quick. But if I'm going to an auto mechanic, he might have my car for a day or two or half a day, and it is what it is. But like sometimes if I need to be in and out quick, I need a new tire or I need a patch, I'm tipping them to be quick too. So I get that point. Like, I don't tip my auto mechanic guy. I just don't. But because they're setting their own price. They could kind of get us anyway. Like they're getting their money.
Yeah.
And it's like us, like there are times that we're working and we're not getting enough money. Those auto mechanic guys, usually they're doing pretty well, right? So
and
like
and I think one more thing before you move on to the next person, as in terms of like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, the reason why customers don't tip like that is because these companies do not give a great opportunity for you to maximize on your tip. And what do I mean by that? All the fees that they charge, it is ridiculous. They overprice the food. They charge the consumer a ridiculous amount of fees. Now there's a regulatory fee or whatever the hell it is, Prop 22. They charge fees to the consumer so they could pay out the employees, the Prop 22. It's like by the time you get to the tip section, I mean, you're already putting up like $12 up to like $13 in like fees. They even have something called the long range free. They even have something in DoorDash where if you pay $2 extra, you get your food first. So basically your food doesn't get stacked. They even charge that fee, and that's a whole other topic because that's like fraud right there from the company. But anyways, they don't give you an opportunity for the dashers or the person who's doing this 1099 to really maximize the tip because they're just charging so many fees up front. Now, if they weren't charging enough fees, I think we would get more tips from the consumers. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm bugging, but I feel like
I think situationally, I think you're right. I think some consumers looking at the total cost and looking at the delivery fee or service fee and assuming that we're getting all of that or more of that than we are in some cases. So I think that's a good point. I think that's valid.
So
let me go to no, thank you. Let me go to GigWise Tim. Tim, jump on in on this convo. Give me your thoughts, fellow St. Louis brother. What do you got, man?
Represent 314.
314 in the house.
Tipping on McDonald's versus sushi. I absolutely tip the percentage of the cost of my order. I like McDonald's, $15, $3 tip.
Yeah.
Your sushi order at what was it, $3.88? That should be what, $76 tip.
Yeah.
Well, we'll say 60 to 78 because you're 20%. As far as like the state of Missouri, our servers here get paid. They only have to get paid half of whatever minimum wage is.
Right.
Which I'm not sure what minimum wage is.
I think right now the server thing is like 360 something or something. It's something like that. I think that's the minimum, something like 363 or something like that.
If they change the law, it used to be half 50% of minimum wage is what they got paid. Because I've made $209 an hour bartending.
Oh wow!
Because bartenders fall in that same category, but that was a lot of years ago. A lot of your service staff, but they don't drive around. I had this argument with a bartender somewhere not too long ago because she's like, "Why should I tip that driver so much? They're not bringing my food or whatever." I'm like, "We basically do, just like a server. The servers don't cook your food. We don't cook the food. We deliver it. We deliver it to their house, not their table."
Yeah.
But same thing. I had a bunch of ideas, but I drove from Fenton all the way home. I'm in my driveway while I've been sitting there in the back stage. And I took Gravway. I did not take the highway all the way.
You took Gravway all the way down? Damn. Well, sometimes that can be quicker. Sometimes,
I started your stream sitting in Walmart's parking lot out there trying to get one more order, but I gave up.
Well, let me ask you a question. Okay, so I know you had some things in your brain, and so you mentioning you tip off subtotal, right? But
subtotal definitely. So
but do you think us drivers, do we deserve more based on the subtotal?
Yes. We're basically their server, but we come there in a vehicle.
So let me ask you a question. So you're somebody that goes out like me. You go to a bar, you go to a restaurant. So if you go out to eat at a local bar and you have a couple brews, you have some wings and a burger, and your bill's $50, right? Or if you go out to a steakhouse and you order one steak that's $100, you have a bottle of wine that's $200. Your subtotals, let's say it's $400 because it's a date night. If those servers did the same amount of work, do you think they should be paid the same, or should the steakhouse server make more money?
Again, I tip the subtotal. You're going to get a $15 tip on that $50 order and a probably an $80 to $100 tip on that $400 order.
No, I get it. I do the same.
That's
I'm
just,
guilty.
that's
Listen,
how
I do
I've
the
always
same.
done it.
But do you think that the steakhouse employee is more deserving of the money, or do you think both are kind of deserving the same? Because they did the same
Well,
amount of
I mean,
work. They took your order. They brought you your food. They gave you napkins. They checked on you. They did the same work in most cases. You know what I'm saying?
Well, a lot of times when you're in a finer dining establishment, you've got somebody that's more trained in fine dining or more upscale casual than somebody working at the sports bar down the road, slinging drinks at the table and whatnot. I mean, it's kind of like a skill set, but based on experience or seniority. So like, if you remember that Tony's place that was like a big, expensive joint, he didn't just hire anybody, and he fired like 10 people a week and replaced them.
Yeah, you're talking about the Italian. Tony's the Italian place.
Yeah. I never went there. Anthony's, was it called Anthony's? I can't remember, but
I know the place called Tony's that was really popular.
I think it was Tony's on the hill. I think it was Tony's on the hill.
Yeah.
That was out of my price range, so I never went there. But yeah, those servers made a lot of money, but they also, I mean, they were on the chopping block at the beginning of every shift. You didn't know if you were going to have a job after you got there, because he literally would fire people every week, like 10 people a week or something like that, and replace them just like that. He had people on standby that were very, very good at their job.
Well, the competition was so high because it was almost like you had to have a good skill, and it's a different kind of skill, fine dining, but it's like a little bit of luck too, because if you get into that space, you're making $400 or $500 a night. Like, it's silly how much money they can make, right? And they only work 2 days a week. They can work a Friday and Saturday, make a G. Okay,
and I'm going back. And in my mind, I'm going back years ago. So
yeah,
this modern age, a place like that, who knows what they're making?
Yeah. Let me ask you another question. So, what do you say in that article? They talked about this kind of work shouldn't be a full-time job. What do you say to that?
That was one. Yeah, absolutely. It can be a full-time job, but if you're going to do it just off of, say, DoorDash and Uber Eats and Grubhub, it's going to be tougher. You got to evolve with it. As you grow as a driver, there's a lot of different options out there on the gig apps. You can get into the last miler apps like Curry, the Roadie in some markets, more of a kind of a last miler, and there's others out there. You can get into the catering apps, Delivered. There's other eyeball ones that aren't here in St. Louis that I don't pay attention to because they're not in St. Louis. Until they're in my market, I don't really care. Pretty much anything that does the Easy Cater, like a lot of your DoorDash large order programs are coming from Easy Cater, which don't look, because you can't work directly with the Easy Cater. I've already tried. But you got to evolve with it. You can't, I mean, if you just do the same app all day, every day, it's going to drive you nuts by the end of the week. You have to not necessarily multi-app, but just, get a change of scenery. And some apps work better at certain times of the day than others. Like right now, I can't do Spark, but I could go out and make money on Uber Eats or DoorDash or even Grubhub.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, you can. I firmly believe I do it full time. So.
Well, I know you do. That's why I asked you. I wanted your perspective.
But forever, I don't plan on doing it forever full time. I've got other things on the back burner I plan on working on. You just got to work your way to it.
Awesome. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Let's get the Matrix in. Matrix, what do you? I know you got some thoughts about these topics tonight. Go ahead, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, a couple of popular moments on my channel were when I said a very simple thing, that a $2 tip was a good tip in 1984. Like literally, he knows it, literally. Like, I delivered pizzas when I was 16 years old, and the average tip I remember was just getting a 5 ski. And that was a long time ago. And I got a $5 bill, sometimes 3. If it was 2, it was okay. It was a decent tip. Yeah. It's 2023, and these folks out here are still tipping $2.
So we haven't seen the inflation hit the tipping. You're right. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that inflation has been counteracted in other ways, but not in tipping. You're right.
Not in tipping, specifically with delivery. It's gone up in waitress tipping. It's gone up in hairstylists, in nails, getting your nails done. Everything that we tip, it's gone up incrementally with the cost of living, except for some reason, deliveries. So that, I
Well,
mean,
the reason for that is because the companies have all cut back the percentage that they set as the default. They've all lowered them because they've increased their, I mean, Instacart, DoorDash, Uber. Uber's actually still at 15%, but none of these
that's
companies.
base pay. That's base pay. I'm talking about the individual consumers who can pick and choose any tip they want, and they're continuously picking $2. And yes, the base pay from DoorDash and all the rest is low, but I'm talking about consumers that are purchasing, 30 years ago, what would have been $15 in food today is $65 worth of food. They're still tipping $2.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying, though. Is in other words, DoorDash is suggesting $2. Instacart is suggesting $2.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
Instacart on a
DoorDash-
$20 order is suggesting a $2 tip.
Yeah,
see it
Instacart's
every day.
$2 almost all the time, but that's because consumers are skipping right past that. They're not paying attention. The DoorDash suggested tip in my market is $3.50. My base is $2.50. So that's a large majority of the orders. Consumers just skip right past it. They just click yes, 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 enter, 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 send, 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 and they don't look at that unless they're a discerning customer that says, no, I'm not going to give this guy $3.50 on this $100 order. I'm going to raise it up. And what pisses me off the most, that anything below $3.50, it means that the consumer purposefully went to that line, hit that little arrow, and made it lower.
Oh, well, yeah. I want to ask a question to you guys, and Matrix, you can answer first, then we'll you guys could jump in, because I think I like what you brought up about the $2 in 1985, let's say. It is still $2 for some people, 30 plus years later, right? I want to go down this rabbit hole with you guys because it goes in what I was saying earlier. So that consumer that's tipping the same now as it did 30 years ago, right? They're not thinking about inflation and whatever. Should they? Because let me play devil's advocate. The job's the same. Now it cost us more than the driver in 1985, right? Because fuel is more, things are more, right? I get it, right? Trust me, I get it. But the job's the same. So should we be looking at it like, well, yeah, the consumer or the company should be paying us more to combat inflation? Or because we're in a tipping culture, that's a majority of a high percentage, a majority percentage of what we make is on tips. I bet if most of us looked at our DoorDash app, our Uber Eats app, our Grubhub, whatever it is, most of your pay is going to come from the tip versus the base pay. And some it might be, but in some it might be close, but most, it might be 60-40, 55-45, 51-49, but it's going to be most, right? So is it on the consumer to pay us more, even though the job's the same?
It's not on them, but what's happened in this gig economy is that there are enough drivers that will take them. So the customer tipped $2 for Taco Bell last week. They're going to tip $2 for Taco Bell tomorrow and for Burger King because they're getting their food delivered to them. Well,
listen, I'll admit, I took a $4.25 this week going a mile for Taco Bell, and I listen, I got to admit, I happily delivered it because it took me 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So they tipped me $2 and I took it. I was
customers aren't necessarily think about miles. When I first started ordering Grubhub like 3 years ago, I think like right when the pandemic hit, like as a customer, I didn't even think about where the restaurant was, let alone where the driver was, where my house was. It was kind of a blanket tip. So, I mean, the customers aren't going to really get into that. But here's the thing. Those customers can keep tipping $2 all day long. I'm not servicing them. I just move right on.
That's fine. That's a good thing about being independent. You don't have to do it. That's good.
Yeah, their neighbor's going to tip $8 because I deliver to their neighbor all day long. Tip $8, $6, $10, $12. So that's. I'm just going to keep skipping past them. But the shitty part about that is there's a driver parked right next to me in the parking lot that's going to go right over there, pick up the $2 order because they think they have to. And the second part of this, real quick to wrap up it, what I said in one of my videos was, it's a luxury service. And that caught a little bit of fire. I simply said that one little line.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it's a luxury service. I still do to this day. I worked in restaurants for 20 years, so I know what servers go through. I know what bartenders go through. But at the same time, the servers in that section, They are on the job at 5 o'clock. They got a 5 to 10 shift. They are section 2. That's their section. They can't escape. If they get sat with a shitty 2-top, they got to take it. If they get sat with an 8-top of kids, if they get sat with a baseball team of screaming, yelling kids, they got to take it. The servers don't have the option like we do. They're also not using gas. They're not using brakes. They're not using tires. They're just using like bodily energy, running, using their feet. They're not using things that actually cost money. They're just in their section. And at no point or time can a server that's working at an Applebee's say, hostess, hang on. I'm going to go to Outback next door and pick up this 8-top of a wedding party because I think I'm going to make a bunch of money on that. Hold my section. I'll be back. We can do that. We can go to the Outback. We can go to the Red Lobster. We can go pick up a section at Olive Garden for a 4-top. We get to pick and choose that, but we also use resources. A waitress or a waiter is in that section for their shift. That's it. If they get sat with shitty top after shitty top after shitty top, that's the gig. They're in it, and they just have to rotate through those tables. We have the distinct position to be able to pick and choose our tables at different restaurants, but we do have to use resources. We pay our money out of our own pocket to make money back, whereas a waitress or a waiter does not. They simply use foot power. So,
yeah, I think that's a good point. I think I want to hear from Hector, Tim, JP. What do you guys think? Should consumers be tipping more based on inflation, like Matrix is saying, a $2 tip? Should they be tipping more and considering those type of things? I'll start with Hector first.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to what I was saying before. These companies, they do not put us in the prime position for us to receive the maximum amount of tip. They put all these fees, then they suggest the tip for us. But why can't it just be the other way around? Why can't I just, as a worker, because since I'm 1099 and I get to pick and choose whatever I want, why can't I just put my minimum tip amount if I had the opportunity? Like if you're ordering $50 worth of stuff, why can't my tip amount be minimum, like maybe $5-7 or something like that? Like, to me, I feel like, and this is another thing too. It's all about education. These companies also do not educate the consumer that we are getting paid $2.50 per order. Like, literally, if you think about it, like if DoorDash and Uber Eats and all these people, they told the consumer, hey, we're paying them $2.50, don't you think they would tip us more?
Yes, they'd be outraged. Everybody
Exactly.
I've ever talked to, every customer I've ever talked to is like, you get $2? They just charged me $23 in fees. If they would have known, a lot of it's ignorance. So they just don't know.
And another thing too, that I don't think we talk about this so much. Merchants really got to do a better job of putting a minimum amount to order for a consumer. I should not be going, like, bro, no lie to you. It's already happened to me 3 times this week. I went to a Chick-fil-A to pick up a large Dr. Pepper. Are you kidding me? Bro, you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm sorry to cuss, but I'm just saying.
How much did it pay?
How much you had to pay for that Dr. Pepper? That's like $1.50 at Walmart, bro.
No,
like,
I know, but how much did you get paid? How much did you get paid to deliver that Dr. Pepper?
You know how much I got paid? I got paid because I was trying to go to the high priority. I got paid $3 from DoorDash and $1 for the tip. So yeah, I got paid $4 for that.
I think those are just dumb kids that have access to their parents' account and they can just order whatever gummy bear shit that they want.
Nah, Matrix. You know where it was? You know the company Generator, the biggest company that supplies generators for houses and stuff like that. It's for that. It was a sales guy tipped $1 for a generator company.
That's probably Florida.
No, it's in Texas, Houston.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
That'd be another good place for generators for houses.
But what I'm saying though is like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, there's not no education for the consumer that we're getting paid these low amounts, that we have to take care of our own gas. Well, think about it like this, as you as a consumer, right? For 1 second, for example, Instacart, they put automatically $2 as a tip. You as a consumer, what are you saying to yourself? Damn, these people must be getting paid really well that they're only offering $2 for all these groceries.
Right.
They must be ready to go, tied up in a bow, and all they got to do is just put it in their cart. $2, here you go. You know what I mean? They don't know that we have to go out there. We have to shop for your food. We have to look at your vegetables. We have to look at your fruits. And Instacart has the balls to just put $2 as a minimum amount for a tip. That's just ridiculous to me. These companies really, They do every way for us to get fucked. I'm sorry. That's
And I've said it before. If these companies would only realize it, I don't know why all of us schmucks, realize it. That if DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart would just move that needle from $3.50 to like $4.50, and like you just said, from $2 to like $4.50 or $5, most customers wouldn't even notice. They would skip right past it and hit enter, get me my damn groceries. They wouldn't even notice. If people are ordering delivery services, they just want their stuff. These companies realize because Instacart, the order does not get picked up. And what happens? Instacart jacks up the base. It's costing them money when they could have the customer paying that money. Then they don't have to jack up the base. If they only realized that their orders would get picked up so much more quickly, and it would cost DoorDash, Uber, Instacart less out of their bottom line if they just slid that tip up a little bit. Now, if they got a bunch of blowback and customers complained or whatever, then they may have to reevaluate the strategy. But if like you just said, $2, if they just move it to $5, I bet 85% of customers wouldn't even notice it. And it would save them money because they wouldn't have to keep jacking up their base pay.
Yeah, I wish Instacart would do that. And I wish Instacart would actually be more transparent with the consumer, that's saying that, oh, these people are actually shopping for you. They're picking out every single thing for you. So please be courteous of the tip. This is what we suggest. They don't want to do that because at the end of the day, they don't want to lose money. For example, real quick, I don't know how long ago you guys been working DoorDash. I've been doing it since 2019, right? And the minimum pay was $5, no matter what. Wendy orders were $8.50, no matter what. And I came to realize, why they ran away from that model? Number one is because, they were doing the whole the tip thing where they would pay less if the tip was more, stuff like that, right?
The market got flooded when the pandemic hit.
But number two, you know why? Is because DoorDash lost $580 million. $580 million in 2019. They said, we can't sustain this model. We got to keep raising money. We got to lower the base pay. That's why when people think will these companies ever raise up the base pay? It's just not going to happen.
Listen, I want to reference. Hold up, you guys are bringing something up that I read from an article earlier, and I got it on the screen right now. Okay, this is one of the 5 reasons why consumers are like, why the tipping is getting out of control. Why should the consumer be responsible for paying the workers a living wage? And some of you guys are kind of speaking on that now. Like we got the companies are not paying enough. They're not, they don't even require a minimum and this and that and inflation and blah. So I think some of us are speaking to the point of the consumer because they're tired of paying our wage and they feel like the company should just pay us more. And it goes to what I was asking earlier. And I'm not saying I think this should happen, but imagine a delivery app world where a tip wasn't even a thing. It wasn't like Instacart said, here's $2 minimum, or DoorDash is saying, hey, a $3 order, suggesting a $3 tip on a McDonald's or whatever it is, right? Or suggesting a 20% tip on a $388 sushi. It was based just on the miles, the difficulty of the drop off, and like the merchant. And we saw full transparency. And some orders would be, yes, you'd still see some $2 orders, but you'd see ones that were $8 or $9 or $10 as well, based on mileage or whatever. So I think some of us are speaking to the point of the consumer because they're tired of having to pay our wage. What do you guys say to that?
They could call it a courtesy fee.
Well, they could call it whatever fee. Well, what I'm saying is they wouldn't call it a tip. So what would happen is the delivery fee or service fee would go up, right? Or something, or they would call it, a mileage fee. Right. OK, well, you are 8 miles away from that McDonald's. So we're going to charge you, $5 for that particular mileage. And then we're going to pay the driver $3. So it's going to be an $8 for 8. And sometimes it'll work to our benefit and other times it won't. But no different. It's no different now. Sometimes it works to our benefit. Sometimes it doesn't. So I think some of you guys are speaking to that right now.
It was different back then. See, the problem with DoorDash now is this. There was no acceptance rate and all that bullshit. So if you didn't tip enough, your shit didn't come. See, right now, when you put the diamond reward programs and you penalize people for not taking bad orders, basically you put them in a trick bag. Because it's like this. You take this $2 4-mile order or we'll penalize you.
I just don't use the app.
Right. Well, normally, just give an example. I hate to say this has been my worst week ever since then. I was like, literally, I said, thank God I'm getting plenty of stories for content. But I said, this has been my worst week ever. And I mean, when you're sitting here and you get an order, okay, $7, 3 miles. You're like, cool. Then they add on, oh, well, go to the store across the street and pick it up for another $2 for an additional 1.3 miles. So I'm like, this dude is even further than the first dude. And it's like, no, well, if you're the best dasher for this job, if you don't, your rate will drop to, 58. And then it's like by the end of the week, you're sitting up there with all these $2 add-ons. You're sitting down there and you're just creeping back below 40. So it's like you're screwed either way. So I'm not even gonna lie. Every time you send me 2 bad orders in a row, I turn the app off for 15 minutes.
And that's why I went up to
screwed.
7.
Just don't take the $2 add-on. Don't take it.
No. If you don't take the add-on, it still knows your percentage.
So what?
But then that puts you back in the trick bag. Like this is back in the day.
God, my percentage I ended today was 12%. I made $332 today. Like that's bullshit.
I will say this: if you're in a slow market, then you're probably working in a slow market. If you're working in a very busy market, cherry pick the hell out of your orders. Like,
I'm gonna just say, I know we're not really that busy. And good thing, Pedro, I just met the other dude. Remember, we just talked him up. I bumped into him last night.
Okay.
So I have come to. I said at one time he was making just as much as I was. We call clearing 500, so that's really about 600 a day, which is literally he was still like as soon as I was like, dude, man, I was like, where you been? I ain't seen you in a while. He's like, yeah, man. And I was like, you already know. I was like, what you making about now? He's like, man, $150, $200 is a good day. And he's like, that's an established day where back in the day, we would call that a horrible day.
Well, there's more drivers on the road than ever before. We have to remember that, guys.
No. There's more drivers
overall, in most markets, there are more drivers on the app that have the app on their phone as an opportunity than ever before in the history of DoorDash. Ever.
Yeah. And that's the reason. That's the reason why. I mean, no offense. If I'm DoorDash and I'm a greedy company and don't care, that's the reason why I push. Like I noticed what they've done in the Cleveland area. They pushed the no delivery fee, or you see that a lot on like ads for DoorDash.
Yep.
And I'm like, do you realize that they're not paying the drivers? And I said, like that's why I said, whoever was at Dasher that said DoorDash, a luxury service, my other dude, Rio, would always say that. He's like, if I could ever change one thing, I would put it on the bottom, a luxury service. So people think that it's luxury. Because he said the way these people try to act, it is not funny. And unfortunately, we have a lot of scammers in this area who they scam the hell out of DoorDash.
It's because it's easy to. It's easy.
Definitely. I delivered to a gentleman one time when I was doing my acceptance rate was down to 13%. So I said, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take every damn order so I can get it up to 99 just to see how they treat you. That 3-4 days was brutal. I mean, I was delivering food from like East Cleveland to Randall. And it's like, I remember when I get there, it's like 6 people standing outside and everybody just bust out laughing. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, man, we just wanted to see what somebody deliver it. And it was like, wow. And I'm like, he was like, what's so bad? It's been 5 of us. We've been ordering food, no tip, no nut. And every one of them orders came. He said, well, back in the day, that would never happen.
Yeah, I mean, the whole program has changed. And before I want to get into this topic real quick. I know Pedro talked about it a few weeks ago about the diamond program. So I've changed my strategy completely, guys. I used to be a cherry picker. I told you, I've been doing this for a long time. Now I'm not a cherry picker no more. I just cannot do it. I've gotten, here in Texas, especially in Houston, I was making like $400 a week, bro. Cherry picking. You just can't cherry pick no more. Not in my market. You cannot do it. If you're in a slow market, you cannot cherry pick. It's impossible.
How many different apps do you have?
I got Uber, I got DoorDash, I got Instacart. I got those 3 running right now. I try to sign up for every other app, but believe it or not, it is so saturated. Every single app I try to sign up on, they're booked. Mm-hmm. Too many people are on the apps, and there's a lot of people that are using multiple phones. And that's also a big problem too. I don't know how the hell they're doing it, but I see in my market 3-4 phones. Like, yo, come on, man. Bro, that's ridiculous.
Oh, it's easy, Hector. It's very easy. I could go out tomorrow with my girlfriend's phone, or my phone. Like I have two phones, right? And just log into her account with the DoorDash app and just see both and see offers on two and just take the best. Like it's very easy.
Yeah. So let me tell you real quick. So the reason why I'm starting to take everything, because I created a second DoorDash account. I deleted mine. But the reason why I did that is because I did an experiment. So I had my new one and the old one, right? And I was trying to see which orders were coming in first. And since I had the high priority, no lie to you, the orders were coming to me first before my old account. It happened like 5 out of every 10 orders, maybe 6 out of every 10 orders. There was a situation where they were sending my old account, the cherry picking account, they would send me $7 to go 11 miles. I declined it. Then on the new account, they would send me $14 to go for the same amount of miles. They bumped my pay by like $7, bro.
Yeah, I could believe it.
I was like, you know what? I'm taking everything. And let me tell you.
Did you take the $14 one? Huh?
No, I did take that one.
Why I was asking that is, I'll bet you the $14 was there all along. They showed you $14 because they showed you. That's what I'm finding.
Exactly.
You're
right about that.
They're showing more of the tip. That is true, Jay.
Yeah, that could be right. Yeah, but I only did this was because I was in a slow market. Like this is the only reason I'm doing it. And let me tell you guys, ever since I started taking everything, and I don't take garbage because the garbage doesn't exist after you hit the 50%, 70%. You don't see it as much. I just take $1 a mile. That's all I do. I take $1 a mile, wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I just bust out the morning shifts, and I save my ARs for like lunchtime, and I cherry pick a little bit. And let me tell you, this past week, I must have made like $1,200. I never made that much money on DoorDash before.
Well, just to give you an example, in my market, like literally, we used to think $1 a mile was bad. Like literally in my area, I'm in Northeast Ohio.
It is bad.
It's still bad.
No, right. We used to think $1 a mile is bad. Lately, it's been so much trash, and I mean tons of it, to the fact is sometimes you don't even get 50 cents a mile. I'm watching drivers take these.
Time to do something else then.
Well, this is the reason why I'll sit there and do nothing before then. But what I do is I'm a talkative person. Y'all can tell by me here. I talk.
Oh no, you're not. You're not talking.
No, get the hell out of here.
But I talk to a lot of other drivers, and I see the fact that they're doing, and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it's this. You post like this, like say I'll go sit in that restaurant, that place y'all saw me at the other day. Say I reject 3 orders. All of a sudden, I won't get an order for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, sometime an hour.
Wow.
Same here.
Is that on DoorDash? On DoorDash?
Yeah, DoorDash.
Uber?
That's DoorDash. I won't get it. So it's like, wait a minute. You telling me I got to do this job where it's going to cost me? It's like saying, build this house for $100,000. Say the cost to build is $100,000. Build it for 70, and just because you build it for 70, we'll give you the opportunity to work next month.
Yeah, it's definitely manipulative tactics.
Right. I told her. Right. This is the problem is that DoorDash molests their drivers like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's what we were talking about earlier, and I do think that one of the things that Matrix said earlier was, well, if they only knew if they raised it, they'd get more orders delivered. Folks, they understand. If there's one thing I do not shortchange them on is they do know.
Yeah.
They understand the data, and they also know that when they lower the tip amount, more people place orders. That's what the data shows, and that's coming directly from people at Instacart, DoorDash, and Grubhub.
Of course.
And so that what I'm getting to is when they lower that number, I mean, what it should be, to go back to the original conversation, my take on it was minimum. It should right now, it shouldn't be 84. It shouldn't be 84 numbers. It's 2020, 2023. Yeah, it should be $5 minimum, and then 20%, and that's assuming that the restaurant is less than 5 miles from where you're ordering, and then if it goes above that, it should be $1 a mile beyond the $5. And oh, by the way, back in 1984, when we had restaurants where we didn't deliver outside that the
area.
1 or 2 mile circle, okay? Because it was not economical. It just would not work. Okay?
Well,
And
I
that's
hate to say they don't even need to do that. I hate to say they could just change one thing. Go back to it was all luck. Like the system was.
What do you
Because
mean?
see, if you're gonna penalize me for not taking a bad order,
yeah.
then it should just be random again.
Well, today on any restaurant that has their own delivery crew that also dispatch orders out through the gig apps like DoorDash, Papa John's is the main one, they can pick and choose what they deliver in-house. They send out the crappy orders. They can see the tip. They know exactly what's going to tip.
Of course.
100% transparent on those.
Yeah.
They can see it. If it's a shitty order going to a bad area or whatever the reason, they'll send it out to the gig driver. The DoorDash.
I've delivered to. We got a high drug area. It's called the Keyhole down off like 117th and St. Clair.
I bet DoorDash most Papa John's orders.
Yeah. But just give an example and go to show you how it was so funny with this customer. I delivered down to this woman down at the Keyhole. It's like it was what's so bad. I caught myself being nice. It was a $2 order, 3 miles. I'm like, fuck it. I'm just so the number. No, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Hopefully they give me something after that. Pull up in the driveway, I know it's a dope house. Chick comes out, grabs, and it's handed to me. So I'm like, so wait a minute, a $2 order handed to me on one of the most highest drug streets in Northeast Ohio. I mean, come on now. So I'm up here. I walk up there. Ain't all my stuff in this bag? I'm like, well, ma'am, we don't open the bags. Why? It's a receipt right here. Ma'am, we'll open the bags. You could just read the receipt. I'm like, man, and then I just told her, I said, you only paid $2 I don't care. It was just like, literally. And this is depending on what type of area you're in. And that's why I hate with my suburb being attached. Like my city is like a buffer between like a horrible city and all the trash. But the way the DoorDash app has East Cleveland, merged with all the East Cleveland used to be a suburb and merged with other suburbs. So the problem is,
it sounds like St. Louis, and Tim could talk.
Yeah.
St. Louis is very similar. We could be in a downtown zone and be really nice areas, Central West End, $1 million homes, and then 4 miles north, same zone, trash, like nothing but projects, like really bad.
And I tell people all the time, I try to avoid to go to NREs.
Yeah.
And I try to avoid those restaurants at all the costs. And I tell people, I say, there's a reason why you don't want to go to certain restaurants. Because it's the bad thing. They treat you like shit. You say anything about the wait, they're going to get an attitude with you and want to fight you. And any little thing, they're going to try to bring it to fighting. I mean, like, you can't, basically, it's like, give me your money, shut over there, shut the fuck up, sit what I say, and speak when I told you to.
And Tim, real quick, when you talked about the internal orders, that's company to company. Chick-fil-A, if you order through the Chick-fil-A website, it is internally delivered. Yeah. If you order on DoorDash, if you order Chick-fil-A on DoorDash, it's sent off to DoorDash. That's
not the way it is everywhere. Because here, I've talked to 2 of the Chick-fil-A operators here. If it goes outside of 2 miles in one and 3 miles in the other, or if it's a real poorly tipped order, they will send it out to DoorDash.
Well, that's market to market then, because I talked to 2 GMs in my market, and they said everything ordered on the Chick-fil-A website is internal.
Well,
everything ordered on DoorDash
it depends on the ownership group of Chick-fil-A.
That's a franchise. It's a
franchise. Yeah. What I'm saying is they can decide how they want to facilitate the delivery.
These operators.
That was my market specific.
Yeah. These operators are allowed to do whatever they want, and it's the same thing we did. Okay, we were able to do. Now we didn't. We sent everything through DoorDash.
But Jason, don't you think the restaurants should be able to facilitate how they see fit? I do. I am not mad at Papa John's. They send me trash. They send me good ones. Like,
they should
be able to control the flow of their business and take care of their own drivers internally. I have no problem with that at all.
Well, that irritates me there. That's fine, but it's the tip manipulation. When it's ordered through the DoorDash app, they can't manipulate anything. But if they order it through Papa John's, that or whatever restaurant app, they can take 100% of that tip away.
Yeah,
and we have to the staff or just throw it back to the house.
Yeah.
Well, some companies admit it already. Like we have a Pizza Hut here on the corner of Cedar and Lee Road and Shaker Heights. the management actually says, if it comes through there, we keep the tip. And they'll tell the driver right off rip, like, and you can always tell this order was questioned by a merchant and always pay $1. And then like you get to the house, I say, how much did you get? I gave a $10 tip. You only got $1.
Yeah.
I mean, like they'll come out and tell you. Like some of them basically they put the tip in their pocket there. Yeah, all this, and they'll pay you $1, and that's how you can tell if you ever get an order from that one there. And if you see, I'm not one of those.
I'd never.
That
pick
must
up
be
in
with
that
smaller
restaurant.
restaurants. When I was a restaurant manager,
that's pizza.
The last thing in the world when I was in charge of the entire restaurant was managing the tips of incoming orders. Get the hell out of here. We had our tablets up front.
Too busy.
DoorDash, Uber and Grub. Are you kidding me? I had 1,000 fires to put out and a million other things to do. You think I'm sitting in the corner of an office somewhere with a tablet in my hand going, there's 225 here, there's 420. I mean, get the fuck out of here. That was and Pedro could know this from his Applebee's times. Were you ever, going through the tips? And I mean,
we never had when I was at Applebee's, the third-party delivery systems weren't a thing. We didn't partner with them until.
Oh, that's right. It was too far.
So I never had to manage a restaurant that had that. But I think situationally, there was times I might have time to look at that, or maybe my to-go person or my team lead might have had time to facilitate an order. Hey, there's a $50 tip on this big order, guys. Let's take 25 of it. I'm going to take care of you because. So I get it.
My most.
I don't agree with it, but I understand.
But for fuck's sake, that would have been the last thing on my mind was facilitating tips to whether it's our guy. I mean, get out of here. That tablet was off in the corner.
You have to remember though. You see the problem with our age group is we were raised in the age group that remembers really working. These young people nowadays, like back then, like if you think about it, these young people, you tell a cashier, hey, go mop the floor. And they're like, what? That's not my job description. Where when we got a job at McDonald's, if you had to clean the bathroom, mop the floor, wash the windows, you did whatever.
Yep.
See, one of the things you're not taking that into consideration that all of us on this panel were probably the reason why we were doing the gig act now. We were hustlers. We always were doing whatever it takes to get paid.
Bro, what'd you say?
Hector looks like he's 23 years old.
Nah, he's at least.
Thank you very much.
How old are you, Hector?
I'm gonna be 37 this year.
Yeah, I knew that.
Looks like an IG model over there.
Yo, bro, but the thing is,
still a baby.
Wait, the thing is I drink a lot of wine. I ain't gonna lie about a lot of Chilean wine because I'm happy.
That's needs an OnlyFans site.
You know what I'm seeing though, Judge, in our industry was what a little bit of a throwback with the drinks, filling up the drinks. I stand next to dudes or ladies maybe all day long that just look at the Wingstop guy and go, nah, I don't fill up drinks. I don't do that. That's your job. And I give them a side look, like, are you freaking kidding me? Like they just throw their hands up. No, I don't fill drinks. That's not my job. It's a health violation. And I just look at them like, so
that is true. They're not.
It is a health violation.
But I agree. I fill drinks. I feel
if that driver doesn't have their hep shots up to date. Well, not up to date. You get them. You get your first one, and then 6 months later, you get your second one. You get them done right. That's the health department thing.
Yeah.
If we were all to complain, you don't know what drivers have. A lot of drivers didn't work in the restaurant industry before they became a driver, so they don't have hep shots. But
it's not even a shot.
Hepatitis B off your hands on the side of a drink for real. That the employee behind the Wingstop counter wouldn't have just the same chance. I mean, get the hell out of here.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with filling drinks. Okay, and it has nothing to do with shots or any of those other things. Why it's illegal is that as a gig driver, you don't go in and wash your hands before you grab that cup. And if you grab the top of the cup, which I see all the time at Wingstop, and we have another one at Barbaritos, and I can't remember the name. Begins with Salmolitas, but it's not that. It's something else. It's a good restaurant. Yeah, it's a good restaurant, but they always have you fill the drinks, and I know how to do that because I spent so long in the restaurant industry. But I can tell you, I watch people. Other drivers outside smoking a cigarette, all right, which is the worst thing you can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're smoking a cigarette, putting their hand in their mouth, and then they go in, they take 3 cups and they bring them over and they put their fingers inside of it. And now that person has inside those cups everything that's the reason why it's illegal. Okay,
Well,
so
It's not illegal. It's not illegal.
It's not illegal.
It's a health department violation,
but
basically.
the health department violation makes it illegal. It's an
Yeah,
Let me say
if
this,
If
guys.
the health inspector were outside the facility watching a DoorDash driver scratch their ass, scratch their nuts, take a smoke, go in and handle it, yeah, just like they would an employee, a Wingstop employee.
I do that to all the $2 orders.
God damn it, Judge.
Listen. Let me say this to you guys.
No tip. I
feel
take
like
a sip.
let me say this.
I
So
get-
Hector, JP, and the Matrix, I know have worked in restaurants. Dre and Tim, you guys worked in restaurants, right? At some point.
My first job at 15 years old, I worked at a McDonald's. I was there.
Tim, you've worked in a restaurant, right?
No, me, yeah, 30 plus
Okay, so
years.
all of us have worked in the restaurant industry, and we all know this one thing to be true. One of the dirtiest and most unsanitary places in a restaurant, and this is for all you guys that have never
Ice
worked,
machine.
is an ice chute in an ice machine that's connected to your soda machine. If
Yeah,
you
I-
disable any of those, anybody that's been in the health department, yeah, EcoSure audit, that's got so much mold in there most of the time. So
Yeah.
regardless of how we handle the cup,
Yeah,
we are literally, in my opinion, making such an insignificant amount of impact on that cup. Because
Well,
how much
it's already
blood is in there?
somebody's going to get sick versus more so from the mold that's in there or not in there than if we are making the drink. And that's why I think the health department knows that. And that's why I feel like we haven't seen stories of places shut down. Think about it. There's millions of orders a day. There's literally millions of cups a day being filled by DoorDash drivers, and nobody's doing anything about it. Don't you think they would do something if it was an issue? That's
Pedro,
why it's a non-issue for me.
if a customer got sick after drinking a Sprite from Wingstop, they could never, ever, ever in a billion years trace it back to the DoorDash.
But that's my point.
Yeah, there's no
that's
problem.
my point.
Ever.
That's my
There
point.
couldn't be a
That's
legal
why-
case that
that's
they
my
could
point.
never trace it back. Why couldn't they trace it back to the line cook that scratched his ass 5 minutes earlier and then grabbed the cup and handed it to you to fill
That's
it?
what I'm saying.
And they're
So
grumpy.
it's-
You can never prove it.
we feel like we're making more of an impact on the cups than we are. Trust me. I just
No,
think
no,
it's
no,
not.
Put it like this with the cup.
I
I'll put it
always
like
fill
this.
the cups. I don't care, but I'm only
No,
explaining.
JP, you bring up a good point. Yeah, you're right. Because I see drivers doing nasty stuff.
Yeah,
but-
drivers is dirty. But I put it like this: these people, like, I fill up the drinks no matter what, and the only reason why, the only reason why I do it is because, like, you got to understand too. These people getting paid like $10 an hour to do like 5 different things. And it's like, now we're giving them on top of that, we're giving them shit because we got to fill drinks. Like, yo, bro, if I'm getting paid a good amount, just take a good order. If you're taking a $2 order, you're filling drinks, I'd be pissed off. Stop
Sure.
taking
Well,
$2 orders
that's
and
a
filling
good
up drinks.
point. And
You know
that's
what
a
I
good
mean?
point.
If it's paying like $7 for 3 miles, yo, you fill up that drink with a smile, man. You be like, yo, okay, peace out. All right, that's it. Let's go. Because I'm not gonna do that to an employee. It's just stupid.
The main Wingstop I go to fill the sodas. I don't have to fill them there, and it's the one on Watson, Pedro.
I've only been to that one a few times, but I can't
they
remember.
they also make you confirm your pickup too.
Yeah.
Is there soda machine behind the counter or out in the lobby?
Lobby.
They're
Lobby.
yeah. They go out to the drink machine in the lobby, fill them up for you.
Oh, that's a professional Wingstop. That's a professional one.
No, that's a professional Wingstop.
I just say that
that I've been
all of
to.
ours are horrible. All of ours are horrible. Like, I sit up here and say, there's no reason that Rick Ross can be overweight ordering his food from Wingstop, because you forgot about what you ordered by the time you get it, because they are the slowest. We got like 3 of them that I service around here. Like, Wingstop.
Hair out.
Yeah, Wingstop is horrible. They got one on Lee and Harvard. That one's horrible.
How many times you been waiting on the fries?
Oh man, Wingstop. It's like they on my list of NREs where I try to avoid. Wingstop, Buffalo. Like, just give an example. Buffalo Wild Wings has been garbage in our area. All Applebee's,
you guys,
Bell, Panda Express.
do you guys have a place called Salata in any of your location?
Salatos, the Vietnamese.
No, it's a salad place. It's called Salata.
Oh, yes,
Salads.
I have seen those.
Bro,
But that's-
those are the worst. Don't shit on Wingstop before you go to Salata and pick up an order from there, bro. Y'all talking smack right now. Bro, I waited like 20 minutes one time for a salad. I said, get the fuck out of here.
Wingstop fries.
You know, like well, this is the problem that I've seen more than anything when it comes to like the gig act. You know, I started right in the middle of the pandemic and to a post-pandemic. The problem is post-pandemic, like everybody was talking about, we made a thing. I said, if you could change one thing from post-pandemic and bring one thing from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic, and I said customer service.
Grocery stores.
No. I would say customer service, because customer service is literally non-existent.
It's gone.
It's gone. Like literally, I tell people all the time, it's if I could change anything, customer service. And the problem is, like you see how you're treated here, and with the bad thing about being a driver, you're in the middle. You can't, because basically they can push a button on a tablet and say this driver harasses me or whatever, and it'll knock you off that store for a couple of weeks. Like a lot of people don't know that. I've been knocked off.
They'd lock me out of Wingstops and Popeyes.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. We have a Papa John's here, and just because I asked the guy twice on an order, that's why you ain't been here in a while. And I noticed I didn't come. He's like, yeah, man, I got you banned. And I was like, why? I knew it was funny because I used to get a lot of orders from this place, and I never did. And I'm like, why? Because you don't want to wait. I was like, well, you realize that I got to send confirmation to the customer. I'm just trying to do my job too, you know. I got things that I got to do, you know. But it's like, who cares, you know? But it's really bad as for the drivers. There's just, I hate to say, there is nothing for you. The app doesn't protect you at all. The customers treat you like shit, and the restaurants treat you like shit. And on top of that, you make it to where now we're being penalized for not taking bad orders. I hate to say something. Anybody who knows how to get over on this company, go right ahead because they deserve it.
But the app asks me if I'm safe after delivery, so I feel super safe.
Oh my gosh. Just give an example. Right. What's so bad? It never I realize this. The app never asked me that. Like when I delivered that right on a high drug at a trap house. I'm like, all these houses here are trap houses. And
I think it's just random.
Listen, hold on. Listen, Dre, it might be your area because I have to say this. I would have to disagree. I think, and I want Tim's perspective right after I give my comment. I think at least in my market, there are some places I go to. Yeah, the customer service isn't great, and maybe I don't go back. I don't have a lot of issues when I go to places. Now, what I mean by that is I might have to wait sometimes, but a lot of places I go to, the staff is usually pretty good, and I mean, like. I just don't have a lot of issues. Like my Five Guys on Lindell. You guys, a lot of people hate going to Five Guys. I love going to Five Guys on Lindell during the day. The crew is fantastic. I love the fact they know me. I know them. They take care of me. My Taco Bell on South Grand. Love that staff. The KFC, the KFC on South Grand. I go there every time. I never have any issues.
South Grand, killer.
Yeah, I never have any issues. So for me, I don't have customer service issues, and I think it's really easy to say, "Oh, the customer service is shit in this country." I think that it is. I think the reason we think that is either going to be your area or because everybody's got phones now, so we see all these viral videos giving only the bad interactions. I'll tell you what: if we had the phones back in the '80s customer service sometimes wasn't any better. '90s, 2000s. So for me, I think I just base on situation by situation, but I don't feel like customer service is completely dead. I go to places and I get really good service sometimes. Tim, what do you say to that?
Well, like McDonald's these days, if you can actually find one that the door's unlocked and you go in to get your order, most of the times I go in there and I'm staring at the expediters' backs. They don't even turn around and say hi. Now, once they finally do, they're not mean, but it's the fact that I can stand there, mean mug in the back of their neck for 5 minutes before they ever turn around one time, if not longer.
Yeah.
And they try not to make eye contact with you.
But some of the Taco Bells I go to, the South Grand, that's a hit or miss there. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. Most of the time at night, though, I have to go through the drive-thru. But the South Kings Highway Taco Bell here of late, they're pretty rude in there. They got a lot of personal problems going on with the staff. They're always arguing and bickering back there. It has nothing to do with us out in the front, but I don't need to see their shit show every time I go in there. and they'll let you in there late to pick up orders.
Do you think there's can we agree across the board? Is there systemic problems with certain companies, i.e. for me, it's Popeyes, coast to coast, from everything I've ever heard or read. Popeyes across the board from New York to California, systemically, they are a shithole corporation. They make a ton of money, they have good food, but everything about them is terrible. Panda Express, I've heard as well. Taco Bell, can we agree across the board?
Well, okay, Panda Express, I have no issues with them. Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A, it's about training. Chick-fil-A, I've never had a bad experience.
I don't have any problem with Chick-fil-A.
Ever, right? So it's about training, right? It's about training. You could have a good Popeyes training district manager, franchise group, and they train well, retain. It could be a good Popeyes.
Does anybody have a good Popeyes in the market?
I do. I have a Popeyes myself where 9 out of 10 orders are ready within 30 seconds to a minute, or they're already ready. I've never had to wait more than 5 minutes for a Popeyes order.
All right, then. I guess there's not a consistent.
But the one in the hood, that's a different story. The one in the hood, that's a 180 right there.
Dude, the one in my market, I swear to God, they throw chicken at each other and call each other the N-word out loud, openly, with a full lobby of people. It's fucking,
but that's not every Popeyes.
No, it's not. I'm saying my market. So if Hector has one of his best restaurants, then I'm just trying to see if we could come up with a collective company that's just terrible coast to coast. From what I've read and heard, it's Popeyes.
A lot of restaurant chains, it's really hit or miss per that location. Like the Popeyes, the only one I have good luck with is on Butler Hill Road. Pedro knows where that is.
Yep.
The one on Gravois sucks. The one on Telegraph by the Walmart up there in South County sucks. The one on Manchester near Hanley, I'll never ever go there again. I actually reported them for rude, unprofessional service or whatever the option is on Uber Eats because they were very unprofessional, like 4 times in a row, and I'm done.
Well, sometimes the problem is this. Like I said, I told them, once you get I said I was going to come up with the NRE restaurant of the week. And basically is you have a lot of these teenagers and they're the managers running the stores, and it's more about being cool with people than that. And that's why we just give an example. If they snapped our fingers tomorrow, boom, all 6 of us were running stores somewhere in location. Within a month, we would turn them stores around. But also,
maybe you have to have the staff. You got to have the staff.
Right. Well, no, listen, I'm not finished. In a month, we'll turn those stores around. But also in that month, we probably had a gun beat pulled on us by one of our employees because they're not used to work.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, we'll turn those stores around, but we might also have a bullet in the back of our head and somebody beat us up when we walk to our car or something.
I'll tell you what.
Story will still be there, but you'll be dead. That'll be it.
I want to ask you guys one closing question because we're talking about restaurants and Dre say, we had a month to turn around. I'll start with Hector and we'll go to Tim and Matrix and JP and then we'll finish with Dre. How much right now would an offer letter need to be? What salary would a fast food place, and you get to pick the fast food place, McDonald's, KFC, Wingstop, Popeyes, whatever, you get to pick, but you had to work there for 2 years. They're going to pay you a salary. How much would that salary, what's the minimum salary they'd have to pay you, Hector, to work in fast food from tomorrow and do it for 2 years? What's your price?
I got an expensive girlfriend, 2 expensive dogs. Okay. I'm talking 70, 80K a year, bro.
70, 80K, okay.
Yeah,
Tim, how about you?
No less than that.
80K was the exact number that popped in my head because I would change 80K. A whole lot of stuff on their production that would benefit. It would just speed everything up because the way they do things there is just so slow. And I'm pulling my hair out watching them like, why do they do things this way?
Yeah. But for 80K, you would do that job.
No, I wouldn't. I've turned down a job already for more than that as an executive.
So how much? What would the amount need to be for you?
I want nothing to do with working in that indindustry any longer. So
nothing.
There's no. I mean, it'd have to be so. Astronomical. I'd bid the job like I didn't want it. I knew that I won't.
So
I know
if they said so, if the Taco Bell on South Grand, and you know the spot, paid you $120,000 to be the GM, you would say
that's
no.
My number.
No.
Wow. Okay, Matrix, what's your number? 120?
$120,000. But you said you get to pick the restaurant.
You get to pick the fast food restaurant, not the location, but you get to pick the chain.
I wouldn't be able to pick Taco Bell because Taco Bell only has 2 make lines in every single restaurant, and they would need to have 4 make lines to keep up with demand to execute. I might pick Chick-fil-A because they run the most well-oiled machine.
Okay, hold up. You can't pick Chick-fil-A. That's too easy. For me, if I'm being honest, the GM of Chick-fil-A is an easy fucking job because as long as you train your staff, that's easy.
Best staff, they pay their staff. They pay those 18-year-old kids $22 an hour. So, okay, I'll go if I wanted to. I'll go McDonald's, $120,000 a year. The GM of a local McDonald's for 2 years, $120,000. I would do it.
JP, what do you say?
I spent a long time in that business, but for me,
he already did it.
I've already done it, but I would tell you, and I didn't do it for anywhere near this amount of money as a GM. But the GM, I'd probably pick Wendy's and say it would have to be $150,000 a year to start.
Well, hold on. Let me say this. Let me get to Dre. Dre, what's your price? What amount would that have?
With me, I've done it like this will be. I need a couple stipulations. I need $125K. I need CCW already off rip, complete hiring and firing power off rip. And those are the stipulations I need because we're gonna go back to. Like, just give an example. I got on that place where I said, where you said, saw me. He said, "Why are you standing there if somebody got shot?" But that dude right there who runs that store now, I mean, you never walk in there and wait for an order. Now, y'all saw the ambulance there. His cook had a heart attack in the location, like literally. So, prayers to him. But like literally since I came there 2 days later, his cook was still in the hospital. He was slow then, but virtually never would walk in that spot and not have an order ready. And he runs a tight oil ship. I even said, if I was ever running a business, I don't give a damn how much money he wants. I'm coming to get him and pull him to my chain because he's very good at running a tight ship.
Judge Dre would ask for $125,000. He would get it, and 30 days later, Judge Dre would have 1 employee, and it would be Judge Dre.
Well, the problem is you come here. See, I used to come out a plaque. It's called Not Fun.
Oh, I think he's okay. Listen, I want to.
Sounds like you're
it's called work.
Dre,
it's called work, not fun. Go ahead.
No, you were cracking up there for a second. But listen, I think what's funny is for me, and I could say this because I've worked in, I think Hector had the only reasonable answer. Okay. Because I think we have to understand one thing. Now, listen, we threw out some big fucking numbers, ladies and gentlemen, out here. No GM in any of these places are making the numbers, but I like the answers I got because it shows us that money isn't everything. None of us are making $120,000, guys, doing DoorDash. None of us. Not one of us on this screen made $120,000 last year in DoorDash. No way. I don't believe you. There's no way.
Hey, Joe, I told you before.
Listen, we could talk offline. $120,000.
I made $98,000 last year.
But that's not 120.
Okay. Oh, okay. You're okay.
Yeah. Nobody, but we were throwing out 120, 150. Somebody in the chat said 200,000. That is a lot of money, guys. Okay. It's a lot of money to run a fast food joint. These fast food joints aren't paying that. The most you're going to make as a district manager might be 80, 90,000 with a bonus, with a really good bonus if you got a really good district, right? So I think it's cool that we're throwing out these lofty numbers, but it's, it's all hypotheticals, right? But it's awesome because a lot of us are willing to make less money because we like the freedom and flexibility. We like to be able to do our own thing, not have to worry about working in the kitchen, and it's hard work, right?
Chick-fil-A GM makes up 120, Pedro. You think they're close to that? A Chick-fil-A GM?
No, I think the franchise owner makes good money, but the GM of Chick-fil-A does not make $120,000.
Well, they probably make 80.
Chick-fil-A is a completely different animal, but
it is. Yeah.
I'll tell you, they aren't really franchisees. They're operators.
They're owner operators. Yes.
Yeah, they put up. Now it's up to $10,000, but their average operator can earn about $200,000 a year. Their exceptional ones are up over $300,000 now, but they're also doing $4 and $5 million in a fast food restaurant. And that's, all of this is fun to talk about. I know no one's ever going to pay me $150,000 to run one Wendy's.
Yeah, that's different.
They're going to lose money.
They get a cut of the earnings. My main Chick-fil-A last year did $10 million.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, there you go. That operator or that GM, whatever you want to call it, that person is making at least $500,000 then.
Yeah.
No way. Hold on. I don't think that they are.
Hey, Joe,
because we
that's
have
true.
to-
If they're vested in it, that's true.
maybe,
they buy
but
into
you have
it.
to. You guys all know this. The amount that they have to pay in royalties.
Yeah,
the
right.
amount-
It's
I mean,
high.
their labor cost is extremely high. Their food cost is not that bad, but the labor cost is high because of staffing and everything. But I mean, yeah, to be an owner operator, yeah, you're gonna make good money. But
And
it's
what
still gonna
church
take
you got to be affiliated with? What church you got to be affiliated with to own a Chick-fil-A? Because you got to be a church going
Be
person for
Christian
Chick-fil-A.
church, if you're
do.
wondering.
Yeah,
Judge.
Most of the
Yeah.
people,
You gotta
nobody
be a
on this,
Christian to get
nobody
that
on this
gift.
live would qualify.
No.
because we all
No.
cuss too much.
And mind you, JP, that's $10 million a year, and they're closed a minimum of 52 days a week because they're closed every Sunday, plus
Right.
Thanksgiving, plus Christmas Eve, plus
52
Valentine's
days.
Day. Probably they're closed every holiday, but he's right. If they are invested, if that GM owner operator is invested in a $10 million a year Chick-fil-A, I bet it's around $400,000 to $500,000 a year.
I trust me, guys. I know the numbers with all of these chains, especially fast food. Having done it for so damn long and had so many of them, that $10 million a year Chick-fil-A is probably earning, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of $3.5 million. So that operator, they have a different plan. I mean, what they do is they take a certain percentage, and that is that's different in different places. They take away all the real estate expenses, all the building operating expenses, all that stuff. They take that all off, and then when it's all said and done, they split what's left.
That's why my first choice
50-50.
was Chick-fil-A, and Pedro told me to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You
can't.
Get out of
Chick-fil-A
here.
is extremely.
That was my first choice for a reason.
Chick-fil-A is completely different, but they also only have a couple thousand of them, or 2,500 across the country, instead of, McDonald's is 45,000 locations. So it's
they pride themselves on customer service. See, Chick-fil-A is basically like this. To me, their chicken is not the best.
No,
like me, I would rather have Popeyes all day.
Yes.
But at least when I go to Chick-fil-A, I'm gonna get somebody smiling. Like we, at least you're gonna get a smile and all like that. And you can tell they run their business a lot more affluently. Like you can go to a Chick-fil-A right now, and there'll be 35 cars there, and you'll still get out. You'll get out faster.
The Chick-fil-A.
Oh, they put them out of business. They put them out of business.
You imagine if Popeyes just follow the Chick-fil-A model with their recipe, with their breading, with their crack and chicken,
they put them out of business.
Potatoes. Yeah, could you imagine?
Put them out of business.
They knock it out of the park.
Well, we about to see that though, because we have a Popeyes opening up right next door to a Chick-fil-A in the mall here in Beechwood. They're right next door, so they're one open. Yes, there's a Popeyes opening right. It's supposed to. I already see when I was there at Chick-fil-A, I saw the sign Popeyes coming soon.
Oh no!
Let me tell you what, Chick-fil-A is popular for a couple of reasons. Because Dre said it, the food's okay. The sandwich itself is not that.
Right.
It's not. It's. I wouldn't even put it in the top 3 of chicken.
It's
sandwiches.
mid. It's mid.
It's mid. But the service, the fast, the quickness. Right, and Chick-fil-A is very culty to me. It's got like a little bit of a cult following.
Christian culty.
It's like people just love it. They love to go to Chick-fil-A. They like the cup. I want my Chick-fil-A bag. It's like Starbucks in that regard, but just a different cult. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like Starbucks is not the best coffee. No way, it's not the best, right? But what they do is they have the options you can customize, and people love having that Starbucks cup in their hand for branding. Chick-fil-A,
they want your name on the cup.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's comfortable.
It's just it's exactly. But for me, let me say this. I want to answer what my amount would be. Right, man, it'd have to be a lot of money because But for 2 years, I have a number because 2 years ain't that long, right? And if they're paying you $125, that's a lot of money, guys. It's a lot of money. Okay.
But your number has to be higher because you have to.
It has to be higher. I'm already. Yeah, it would be high. It would be very high. But I wouldn't. I would have to consider it. But nobody's gonna pay you that because it's a Taco Bell. Like you're not gonna. If they pay you that salary, it's basically.
You think you could get that in Las Vegas at a casino, a high-end casino?
Maybe.
If you were food and beverage manager at a high-end casino,
maybe,
you could
but
get that, Pedro.
that's hard work, man. That's hard work, man.
It is
That's
hard work.
I'd rather do a Sunday live and just talk to you guys. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be able to do that.
Check on
I
the
wouldn't be able to
13th
do
of every
that
month.
anymore.
Hell
Well,
yeah.
I have to say the reason our numbers are so high on that is because we don't want to do that job any longer.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
enjoy our freedom.
No,
We enjoy our freedom of
Tim,
gig
you
work
said
too much.
nothing. Tim, you
No,
said if Taco Bell offered you $1 million for 2 years, you gave us the middle finger.
No.
Yep. No way.
Tim,
Hold up, Tim.
$1
You're
million.
crazy.
They only have 2 make lines, man. I couldn't do
Doesn't
that.
matter.
That's
$1
what I
million? $1 million? You don't have. You wouldn't, Tim. You literally would not have to work another day in your life if you invested that.
Actually, if they offer me that much money, I would hire my own GM to take my place.
Yeah, there you go.
$5,000.
Hire an AI robot.
That's
to
all
take your place.
delegating. That's what a GM does.
well, you want to hear something funny? You want to hear something funny? I would actually do it for the 125 with a CCW. And I'm not gonna like this. Is you need to, and you can give me the worst McDonald's in Cleveland, and my goal would be to make it the best one.
Yeah, and you're gonna make.
And I mean, literally, but and then when I do that, I want $1 million bonus. And I mean, like I'm just gonna tell you like this.
You have to write that into your contract to begin with.
Listen. No, but listen, I like impossible tasks, and like I'm not gonna lie. Within the first week, a lot of people gonna get fired. And I'm just gonna tell you, hey, you're paying all of my people $25 an hour. And I'm gonna tell them, like, look. No, but this is what it is.
How much should we charge them for these Whoppers or the burger?
No, look, we'll raise the price. Look. Listen, we'll raise the price. I show you how I've thought about it. We'll raise the price on everything. It'd be 50 cents more on every item than any other McDonald's.
Price in the ghetto. You just
okay. Listen.
His price is there.
50 cents wouldn't make a dent in it. If you
listen.
The reason 25 an hour, you'd have to charge at least $20 for each sandwich. And you go out of business.
No,
Delta Airlines.
I think well, this is a problem. We would have remember you said I'm running it. So that's this. We would have done a more Chick-fil-A standard like that. I mean, it would be literally there'd be cars around the block.
Okay, are we offering
basically the customer service? The customer service is what we're going to do.
Third-party delivery? Are we going to be on the DoorDash platform, gentlemen?
I'm not going to lie. If we were on the DoorDash platform and we were on the DoorDash platform through my store, it would be like this. We would treat the drivers especially well. You would know you would not pull up. It would be a special window for you guys to pull up, kind of like we have some drive-up Chipotle's.
Get that out.
Window.
Happen.
You guys
we have one here in Cleveland.
You're paying 30% of every order to DoorDash, and you're paying your employees $25 an hour.
Well,
out of business.
You'll be out of business.
Listen, we have it because we have drive-up employees, drive-up Chipotle's here. I don't know if y'all have them, but we got a Chipotle that's got a drive-up for the drivers and drivers and pickup orders. But and that's how it will be run. And I'm not gonna lie, if like Chick-fil-A, if McDonald's adopted that type of customer service, it can happen. Because I used to say, how can this place have 50 cars wrapped around the building, 2 lines? I can walk in here and 90% of the time my order is ready. I mean, like literally, it's just about how it is run.
Well, it's because of what Pedro said. Is they're dedicating that friendliness is not free as most people think it is. It costs a lot of money because those people
got to find those employees.
They're a cashier. They fill drinks. Mm-hmm. They bag the order. They don't do like you see people at a McDonald's, a Wendy's, and a Burger King. They're doing lots of different tasks at one time. They're constantly, not just taking the order, but they're running over and getting the drink and getting fries and doing all the other things.
We did that. I mean, I think about it. If we did, no offense, having people got stronger. If we did that back at 14 as a cashier, you feel fried, wrap burgers, do like this, do that. We did all that. Clean the stainless, fix the ice cream machine because that was back before Taylor really had them. Then I was the first one in my company, and I was the only one trained to fix the ice cream machine. And before they came out with all the damn codes and shit, I remember Taylor did make the machines. And once they put them on that, they would get freezer locked all the time.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you this right now. We have probably, there's 6 of us here. We've got close to 200 years or 150 years of restaurant experience. All of us would struggle to run a restaurant right now. I'm telling you right now.
I think I would do a
I'm
good
telling you
job.
right
I have
now.
no interest in running a restaurant.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
They're employees.
We would struggle because of the third-party apps now, the delivery, the staffing levels. Nobody wants to work. Right now, it's harder to run a restaurant than ever before, in my opinion.
Well,
The biggest
Pedro,
deal
before
in the
you
restaurant
guys,
industry right now is keeping a staff.
That's
Staff,
what I'm saying.
staff.
That's what I'm saying.
Staffing's
It's hard.
horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely the worst.
That's my
I've
point.
ever
It'd be
seen
hard
in
to
my
do
life.
that. We would run our brains racket. Heck,
I think I could be able to do it because in my job, me working in the restaurant, I bet you none of you guys did this. Did you guys take orders for 20 tables by yourself with no busser, no runner, and just one bartender?
Yes.
That's what I was doing.
Every
I've
night.
been
I
the
did.
bartender
That's what I
for
was
those
doing.
20
My
tables.
servers
That's what I was doing. Not even
I was
not even that changing the kegs.
very as I got to be as I started climbing the ladders and GM and then like a director of F&B at a casino, I was lazy as fuck. Because for me, my role wasn't to do a lot of work, it was to teach others how to work. So right now I would struggle going into a fast food place and have to be a Taco Bell manager. I would bomb. Because for me, I got to the point where it's like I needed to manage my managers. I wasn't managing situations. You know what I'm saying? So like I would admittedly struggle. It'd take me a couple weeks. I'd be fine. I work really hard. But I got to the point where I was managing managers. I wasn't managing staff, right? So for me, I would totally suck at it for a while because I'd have to actually roll the sleeves up. And I've done it before, but I'm years separated from that. You know what I'm saying? So
when I go into a Taco Bell now to pick up, when I stand back and watch, I want to fire like 3 people.
3 people, yeah.
I'm watching the guy kicking his friend in the ass and throwing chips at him and, going around to the back and doing nothing. Like I want to fire 3 people.
But they've always done that. Kids have, restaurant people have always done that stuff.
Like, what about when you hear the music they're playing in the restaurants? Like back in the day, you would never hear, like you go into a Chick-fil-A now, slap a roll, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, do you realize this is a restaurant and y'all got that music playing?
Chick-fil-A does not play any of that.
No, I'm talking about like, it's a Chipotle right here on Euclid Avenue, 115th and Euclid, where they built a new little area there. I mean, there'd be, yeah, she did it with no hands or whatever the song you can think of. They sitting up there blasting in the back. And I'm like, do you realize there's children in here and every other word is a cuss word out of this station's mouth? I'm like, at least put it on 93. And
yeah, but you realize why
that's
that's happening, right? The reason that's happening is because if they fired those guys or wrote them up, they'll just quit and then they have no staff. So these managers' hands are shackled.
Yeah, they're scared.
Oh,
Yeah, they have bodies in there.
I got a friend of mine as a manager. He said that. He said, the problem is this. He said, He said, every time you try to enforce any type of rule, they quit. Yep. And see, this is the bad thing. He said, think about it. This younger generation, they was the first ones that grew up with that participation trophy type crap. And some things are starting to manifest into the adults right now. Like literally, it's the reason why it's, hey man, you really shouldn't do that. That's not really nice. What the fuck you telling what to do? It's like, whoa.
When I worked at my restaurant, my main restaurant for the first part of my career, if I smelled alcohol on somebody's breath or I saw somebody doing a shot in the parking lot, they were fired immediately. When I came back,
smoking blunts and you can't do nothing.
Yeah. When I came back 8 years later to the same company and got into the rotation of these employees and were hiring these kids, I would routinely go out into the back to like take a smoke break or do whatever. And I would see 4 employees sitting in their car with smoke coming out of the windows. They're getting high in the parking lot while they're on the clock. And I didn't do shit because I don't want to lose these 3 line cooks on a Friday night. I know they're high as fuck. I know a couple of them may be drunk. I wouldn't do shit.
You can't. Unfortunately, you can't do nothing. I mean, unfortunately, the chickens have come home to roost. The participation trophies and all this other BS that no child was left behind. All these other dumb rules we didn't implemented, that manifested in the adults we created.
And I want to say this: not all, because that's a bold
most
line cooks are smoking before having a shot. Yep. Jim Beam. That's how they get through their life.
Bro, that's one of the worst. That's one of the hardest things to get in a restaurant industry. Good line cooks, because they're very irresponsible. They're drinking on the job, like you said. They smoking cigarettes. They have all these types of medical conditions, and if you talk to them wrong, they're out.
And they're vaping. They're vaping in the walk-in cooler. Like they
And
just
guess
get a
what?
real deep hit and bam, they're right back on the line.
You ever had a line cook that would just curse you out if you asked them a question?
Oh yeah, all of us.
Like they just curse you out. Like I'm like, yo, can you put like no olives on this? Yo, my man, get the fuck out of here. I got all these fucking orders. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, yep. Like, you know,
That's recently. That's recently in the last 3 years. That is recently. Back in the day, if somebody talked to me like that, get the fuck out of here.
That's
Yeah.
listen.
Right out the
I don't
back
know
door.
that depending on the kind of restaurant you work at, if it's like a local spot or a chain. Most chain restaurants that might happen, but that's normal kitchen talk, man. Like
yeah, it really is.
Like I for me, I can be. I was a pretty like straight laced kind of like I was a straight shooter, but like I was also pretty forgiving because I understood I needed my team. And most of the time, if they're going to talk to me like that, I'm going to be measured. We're going to talk after the shift, and that'll never happen again. But for me, I always try to like be calm in the moment, not make something bigger, because like if I got to fire a dude in the middle of a shift, I'm affecting the other 4 line cooks. So I needed to. You always had to pick.
You're
going to
be on the line.
For me.
You're
or I'm
gonna
going to be on the line.
Yep.
So it's going to be.
Yeah.
So you always have to understand, like, okay, I'm going to talk to this guy. I'm going to address it, but like, do I want to pick the fight at 6 p.m. when I'm 20 chits deep? I got a 20 top coming in. I got a server crying because she didn't get a tip. I got a hostess flirting with the busboy. Like, there's so much other things going on. So I was always
we're
like,
talking these young kids nowadays. You think you can handle these young people nowadays, dude?
yeah,
Come on, man.
absolutely. No, you know why? You know why? If I had time, I could, because because up here, like I'll get them. The one thing that worked with me, and the only reason I was pretty good as a manager, right, is because I would get people. You got to get them in the heart before you get them in the brain. Okay, so as managers nowadays, too many people they just require and demand respect because I have a manager name tag. That's not how it is anymore. You have to get these kids to understand why you want them to do something, because they're going to ask you why. Back in the day, it's like, hey, I need you to mop the floors. Okay, I got you, Pedro. No problem, boss. Nowadays, you just have to take the 30 seconds to talk to them and tell them why you need them to do it. And most kids will do that stuff. So it's all about how you react to them reacting to you. If you give it back to them, you're not going to win them over. They're going to fuck you off. But if you know how to talk to people,
great point about
if you know how to talk to people, then you got to get them in the heart. And good, they're there. They want to work. They clocked in. If they didn't want to show up, they wouldn't have showed up, right?
Are you smoking, Pedro?
You have to understand how to talk to them. That's the whole. That's all managing is.
No, Pedro, are you smoking?
No, he just became Italian.
No, because I just want to ask, because look. I mean, you must be smoking if you think. Wait. Pick your worst store, and you think you can go in there and turn them type of and try to talk to them people in the heart first.
Absolutely.
Come on.
You know what? Listen,
they ain't got no heart.
Because people get talked to like
people ain't got no heart,
bro.
No.
Heart,
I totally disagree. I think you're going to have to fire some people as an example. But I've coached a lot of teams with knuckleheads, and at the end of the year, they felt really differently. I believe when you have a young kid or an adult that is that wired to like be so disrespectful, it's because nobody's listening to that person. Okay. Management is all about taking the time to cultivate a relationship, let them understand the why, build a relationship with them, roll your sleeves up and cook a shift with them on the line so they see you're right there with them. That's all it is. I've done it a lot. And
I wasn't talking about that, Pedro, like just walk in and start firing everybody. I'm just saying back in the day, if somebody was drunk or high, like that was absolute, you are drunk. I smell it on your breath. You have to leave. It was very easy. When I came back to the restaurant, we were all smoking in the parking lot before their shift, during their shift. My lead line cook, my best line cook, this guy that kicked ass, he was high 24/7. Yeah. It just was. And like Hector said, line cooks are hard to find. Really good line cooks. You can hire a bunch of shitty line cooks, but if your number one line cook gets high 2 or 3 times a shift, guess what? I'm letting him.
Yeah. There's
another reason I'm not in a restaurant.
Shitty line cooks.
Another reason I'm not in a restaurant business anymore is because like I understood like I didn't want. I have more value than I just can't do that anymore because it became so frustrating. Because it was harder, but it can be done. But it is a little harder now, only because
in this market,
money doing other things. The kids value time and balance differently, and a lot of these companies aren't paying good enough for them to even show up or want to stay at work. So.
Well, that's why I say, Pedro, unfortunately, maybe because I'm like I said, I'm a contractor, so I'm used to being, handling 15 different jobs at once. in this market right now, it would be damn near impossible, because the problem is this: you got too much other competition. These children and stuff lack any type of structure, and once you give structure to anything, it's a problem. Rules, regulations, structure. They don't like those things.
Sometimes. Now, I believe the issue is.
But bro, wait. You're not taking everything into the factor. I come work for Pedro. Pedro got rules, regulations, structure for his $20 an hour. I can go work at 19 at McDonald's and do whatever the hell I want and take hits all day in the parking lot.
It just depends. I'll relate it to this. Okay. Managing a restaurant is not that much different than being a coach of a basketball team. It really isn't. Yeah. Okay. You're leading, you're teaching, you're setting, you're training, you're practicing, you're setting expectation, you're learning things together, you're showing new things. That's all it is, right? Okay. So for me, like it's what you're saying is you can't take a bunch of knuckleheads and make them into a good team. I believe that you can.
Yeah, you can. I believe you won't have no hair left, Pedro.
That's fine. I got plenty to spare, so it doesn't matter. It don't matter.
We're gonna come back, look, Pete, after 1 month in, we're gonna come back and be like, who the hell is this running the show?
Well, they gotta give me.
It's also generational. Gen Z is very, very, very different.
Yeah.
Gen X.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Gen Z. They don't take, like, I used to mentor some kids at one time when I was volunteering at my son's school, and I saw the difference, and it was just like, wow. And I mean, like, literally, I've had children as young as 8 telling me about what they don't need to do, and all they need is $50 to be on, and they can just flip that, and it's like, you're 8 years old. Yeah. I'm in my 30s. How in the world you can tell me how to do that, and I don't even know what weight is?
It just depends, man. I'll share a quick story with you before we conclude this. Right, I coached basketball for a number of years. I would do middle school girls, and we had a couple girls that were just, man, they were rough to get through, right? But like, I would spend time with them after practice, talk to them a little bit, get to know them a little bit. I would humiliate myself at times and humble myself, right? I would purposely miss shots as I'm doing a drill so that they could like have a chuckle and make it and feel good. Like you have to understand how people tick and talk, and not enough of us take the time. All it is sometimes is a 5-minute conversation. You could accomplish a lot in a 5-minute conversation with somebody. And if somebody is willing to do that, whether you're a GM of a Taco Bell or a coach of a basketball team, that's all you have to do sometimes. And not enough of us, because I think as leaders, we've become lazy. We say the kids have been lazy. Leaders of these places have been lazy as well. So sometimes you just have to cultivate into people what you want out of them. And if you're not willing to do that, you're going to get the results that you get. Any of the great basketball coaches or great GMs, they've built that. They weren't lucky. They just got it. And the bad coaches, the bad GMs, they got what they got as well. I believe that, at least for me.
Okay.
But,
well, Pedro, you see all these people on this panel, you could tell these people on this panel would go, there are plenty of us like this. Why ain't these people running these restaurants? I'm not saying like us as in us, but there are a lot of people that think like us. And like they're having the name
because they can make, the answer to that is they can make a lot more money. They can make the kind of money we're talking about doing other things. You can't do it.
Right. It's too stressful.
That's really what it comes down to. But Pedro is right. You got to you really got to make a person want to do it before you expect them to do it. So, I mean, that is the key leadership, period. However, it is, I tell you, it is the biggest challenge that I see so many things and I go, God, I have shown up to pick up an order and literally a $980 order, and I show up and the manager goes, we don't have a catering today. You're in the wrong store. And I went, no, there's no other. Is this the address? And show up the address, and they say, yeah, that's us. So that's not until tomorrow. No, that's today. And I, contact the help desk and get them to get through to Easy Catering. Yeah, of course it is today. Now, how in the hell do you miss a $1,000 order? Well, it's because you're not engaged.
I don't give a damn about my job.
Yeah, you're not engaged. And and fortunately for them, I waited. I waited an hour for the order to get done. But most people wouldn't. And the only reason I did it is because Deliver That actually pays you. They pay you $20 an hour to sit there and wait. All right. And so it was worth it to me on that day to go ahead and get that. But But if not, that restaurant loses, and boy, everybody's pissed off then when
Well, that's the day where you use your second phone and you just run and do another order real quick and come back.
Yeah.
All right,
No,
gentlemen.
I
I wanna just kind of
yeah.
end it here. I think great convo. I like organically. We just started talking about restaurants, which is always fun with some ex-restaurant people that can relate. That's always a good time. And I think for me, tipping culture is getting a little crazy, and I think it is. We're starting to see the effects of it as drivers situationally at times. I think, and I think consumers are they're tired of it. So all we can do is, I guess, continue to be selective and take what's worth your time, I guess. But I think we're going to continue to see more consumers just kind of shift towards this, like the company should pay you, I'm not going to pay you, and hopefully maybe the base pay goes high enough where it's good enough. I don't know, but Hector, Tim, JP, Dre, The Matrix, I appreciate you guys for coming on. I know all of you guys have been on the show before. Tim, I'm going to go out tomorrow, so if you're out during lunch, don't take all the good orders, man.
Oh, I'll be
Take them all,
Guys,
Tim. Take them all.
You guys have a great night. I got to go get some sleep.
All right. Before you guys go, I want you guys to do me a favor and just root for the Knicks on Tuesday. All right, let's go. We already won up in the series, so
Go Black
root for the Knicks, okay?
I mean, no, wait.
All right,
What's the name of our football team? Go Battlehawks. Caw.
St. Louis and XFL team.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
We'll see y'all.
Hey, Tim, be sure to take all the good orders so Pedro gets bad ones. That way I can get another DoorDash video.
Oh,
All right.
Lord. See you, Dre. All right. Good show tonight, guys. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. We got definitely a lot of restaurant talk there, but restaurant management, restaurant work is tough, man. It is tough, but tipping culture in America, what do y'all think? Drop a comment if you're watching on the replay. I also wanted to touch real quick on the large order program. I did a video yesterday. I'm trying to get in the large order program. I have all the metrics. I called DoorDash support. The guy, I think his name was Mike or Matt, was really cool, real quick, said he was going to extend it to the appropriate team. I got an email with a reference number, blah, 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 blah. Listen, a lot of people work DoorDash very differently. A lot of drivers that are cherry pickers and are selective, and they say, Pedro, why are you taking a $5 order? I would never do that. Or they sit in their car for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour waiting for a juicy, perfect order, and they multi-app. Hey, you're making money. It's all good. Most DoorDash drivers don't have that experience. If you're part of the LOP, you should consider yourself lucky. I said what I said, okay? I worked my ass off with DoorDash this last year. You guys have seen it. I've done a lot of runs. I've made good money, though. I've given DoorDash a lot of my time. I'm over 8,000 deliveries. My customer rating is good. All my metrics are good. I've done everything DoorDash wants me to do, and I'm not on the program. If anybody should be on a large order program, it should be me. I feel like I'm more deserving than the driver that's on it that takes 4 DoorDashes a month or 4 DoorDash orders a week, and they're all $40. Hey, good for you. But if you're on the LOP and you're telling people, oh, you should just take the big ones, just take the big ones, your experience is the extreme minority. I'm speaking to the masses. Most of us don't have LOP. We can't get on it. We're not lucky. If you're on the LOP, you're lucky, because I've done everything I can do to get on it. Multiple times calling, live chat, called support, bought a DoorDash bag from DoorDash directly, submitted photos 3 different times now. Still not on it because there's enough drivers. So I'm not mad about it because I don't want to oversaturate the LOP. If people are on it before me, that's great, right? But if you're on it, you're lucky. That's all it is. There's no skill involved into getting it. It's all luck. That's it. That's it. It's luck. It's a matter of your market. And it's a matter of if you've did what you needed to do and submitted what you needed to submit, right? So for everybody that's like, oh, all you got to do is do this, and I'm just going to do this, and I'm just going to do that, you're lucky. I make content and videos for the average driver. I can't teach anybody on the LOP how to make money because you're already an OG. You're probably already doing well. I make videos and content for the average driver that's struggling with DoorDash, trying to figure it out, new to DoorDash, try to give you some entertainment, some relatability. I mean, it's wild. I hope I get on the LOP, but it's only a matter of luck. So we have to be cautious of the information we're seeing and hearing and what we're watching, because there are drivers out here like, I only take 4 DoorDash orders a week and I do this and acceptance rate doesn't matter. That's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. Okay? Because most drivers do not have the luxury of being on the large order program. They just don't. And if you do, you're lucky. That's it. I hope I get on it. I want to make content showing you guys that. And you guys will be the first to know if I get on it. I'll show you the email, all that stuff. But we have to understand there's a lot of different ways to make money with DoorDash. And us drivers shouldn't be against each other and saying, well, you can't do this and your acceptance rate's too high and blah, 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 blah. Numbers are numbers. And if you're on the LOP, like I said, you're lucky. Consider it lucky. That's it. But if anything, somebody like me that gives DoorDash more of its time and is doing more for the company than somebody that's sitting there with their thumb up their ass waiting for the perfect order, I should be on it versus you. I said what I said. That's a fact. That's the show for tonight. You guys are absolutely amazing. I love each and every one of you. See you guys tomorrow.